And here we go.
In 5, 4, 3.
Call to me, lands far away.
Elves have forests to protect.
We need to build a wall.
Dwarfs their mines. Men their fields of grain. But we Harfoots have each other.
For I must now wander this wandering day.
We're safe.
You have fought long enough, Galadriel.
No.
Put up your sword.
The enemy is still out there. The question now is where?
It is over.
Nothing is over! Nothing! You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them!
If you only knew the power of the dark side.
Darkness will march over the face of the earth. It will be the end, not just of our people, but all peoples.
Everyone! I am sorry, but their time has come.
The past is with us all. The past is dead. We either move forward or we die with it.
This could be the beginning of a new era.
Away I must wander this wandering day.
To him finally being lionized in the prime and his prime. Fuck.
Do it!
Shit.
Just do it! Don't let your dreams change. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true!
Luke went from being... Oh, no. Welcome, Slayer Nation. I have some great news for you today. I hope you're all doing great. Nope, that didn't work. One more.
You have failed me for the last time.
Welcome, Slayer Nation. I hope...
If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up.
That is eating away at what you love in order for it to shine. And one man's vision is... Sometimes you don't have to make things better for them to be great again. You merely have to... Okay. Hollywood continues to slow boil the culture and crazy. Well, right now, Spider-Man actor Andrew Garfield has stepped up and he's fighting motherfucker.
I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it.
And unbearded dwarves, but Prime didn't stop there. They stapled in intersectionality, individuality, biddiga-dig-bee, biddiga-dig-boo.
So it begins.
At my signal, unleash hell.
Ladies and gentlemen, George the Giant Slayer.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Slayer Nation Live. I'm your host, George Molho, and it's June 22nd, 2025 in the year of our Lord. How are you doing today? It's great to be here. I'm in Texas, coming to you from a bunker where the camera goes out every once in a while, but don't worry about it. It's cooling off because we had a little rain, but I'm happy to see you. We had a great week. FAFO had its second episode this last week where we weren't with Ron Coleman, but we were with Mark Mitchell from Rasmussen Reports, and Verbal Riot joined us. But coming Tuesday, it's going to be Ron Coleman back and Mark Mitchell and myself. And we're going to bring it to you. Plus, we had Slayer Unchained, and we have a lot of news from somebody who is, how shall I put it? They are traumatized for life because a man passed gas at a counter in a store. I talked about it a little bit on Wednesday, but we're going to dive deeper into that now. And then we also have Superman. Is it Superman, the Man of Steel, the Big Blue Boy Scout, or is it James Gunn? The marketing so far, it seems to be split. I have been looking forward to it because Superman is one of my favorite characters, the one that got me through when I was kidnapped and tortured for a year. But now I see it's a competition between Gunn and Superman when it comes to the market. We're going to talk about that. Plus Russell Crowe. He's up for a new role. Looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. We got Iran got hit. Plus, you know, the protests last week, the riots, and then the No Kings. Well, guess what? No Kings 2.0 is coming for July the 4th, which, of course, while we're all celebrating, you know, country, family, fireworks, and with a lot of barbecue, we're going to have a lot of lefties who are going to be out there trying to stir your anger. But let's see who's here. We got Jill Powers, the River Daughter. Eric K., King of the Mods, is in the house. Lord Thoth, a gentleman and a true extraordinary human being, is here. Plus, we got Razorburn, my favorite Rivet Head. Who else? We got Sentai Ranger Donnie. How you doing? Darth Maul's lower half. Mikey likes it. Toxic Waltz. Always good to see you, my friend. Always good to see you. And we have a very special guest who's joining us again for the third time. He must like it here. So let's get going. Fuel those flamethrowers. We're going to roast the idiocy and spit out the facts. We'll bring him back for the third time. We got Warren Smith is joining us. Hi, Warren.
Hello. Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh, always a pleasure. I love having you here. We can get into our deep conversations and break down what's going on with society. Hopefully, I keep thinking every week that when I see something else come out on X, something crazy, that I'm like, okay, this is it. We have reached peak insanity. But then Monday rolls around and it's back to the same craziness. Do you think we've reached like a peak, or we still have a ways to go?
I think there's always more room.
More room
to go. Yes, but things are strange.
It is. It's what I was talking about earlier. We're going to check out in a second. We have this girl who was been making videos because she's upset at the fact that a man passed gas in front of her. She made it sound like it was almost a weapon of mass destruction. Now let's bring out Tom from Midnight's Edge and the DA so we can hear him preach. Gentlemen.
Yo, what's good, fellas?
It's going well. I'm still shocked. I'm still shocked by the woman. So we're just going to play it, let people make up their own minds. Yep, she got crop dusted, Texas, and she is not happy about it.
We were walking down an aisle, and there were like two guys that walked up next to us. You know, Peyton like walked away. My wife walked away for just a second, and they were like snickering to themselves or something. And like I didn't really think much of it, so I'm just looking at the candy aisle trying to decide what candy I want. And he walks by and gets like inches from me and just rips one, like farts like this far from me. That's disgusting to say. I can't even believe I'm having to say this, but he did. And about that time, Peyton walked up, like didn't witness what happened, but like seconds later, and I'm like upset and I follow after him. I was like, is there a reason? You were just so disrespectful to me.
So, gentlemen, weapons of mass destruction or performative
Wow.
outrage?
She is crying real tears over this.
I know. That's why I said nose running and everything. This wasn't an act. I thought at first she was, trolling. She is not.
Unbelievable. Now, we haven't reached peak yet. She's about maybe 3/4 of the way up. We still have more to go. This isn't the peak.
Right. But if passing gas in an aisle, right, or at a counter can be now counted as trauma, if that's not peak victimhood.
Then she chased them down and said, why?
Oh, no. It got worse. Oh,
okay. There's more.
It got worse.
Called you in. Come here. And he never felt so dehumanized.
Not only did he fart on her, when she confronted him, he said, "Just walk away, you fucking bitch."
This is Albertsons, by the way. And go to the customer service to be like, hey, this just happened. I was just disrespected in your store and called names like several times. And the security guard went and talked to him, came back, and they all just kind of looked at us and was like, well, can't y'all just leave? Is this a standard for society?
What did she want to have happen? What did she expect them to do?
I don't know. Call the cops.
Your gas is disturbing the other patrons. You must leave.
Seriously, what do you do?
Like, does she know that he farted for sure? Can you dust for farts? I mean,
I don't know. That's a good question. Do you call 911? 911, we have an emergency. Someone passed gas. She didn't grow up with brothers. Yeah,
exactly, Chris. Once you know how the fart game works, she wouldn't be having this issue. That's why the cops were laughing at you, bitch, because they play the fart game.
She never got hotboxed. She never got hotboxed. Wow. That is crazy. Warren, it's like you hear this when you're making your videos and you see kind of like, again, the kind of woke insanity that's going on. Some people you can tell are doing it for clicks, for performance, chasing fame on Facebook. But
I think it was probably he called her a bitch or whatnot, and that kind of probably triggered this response. I think people are often looking for the catharsis of victimhood. That it feels good in the moment, and I think we're seeing that on camera. And I mean, it's probably more about, and I can understand his response in a way, like maybe don't use that word or whatever, like, just being like, I mean, the poor, I'm just imagining the poor security guard being like, I don't know what to tell you. And I think that is the appropriate response. Well, can't you just walk away?
But she seemed to be shocked by that when he offered that advice. Like, can't you just go away? It's, I guess what I'm asking is, does it feel like more people are now actually chasing victimhood, like to be victims?
There's a lot of dictums out there. People who act like a dick, and they turn around and act like a victim. And I think she's a dictum.
Good point. Good point, Tom.
That's accurate.
Let's ask Little Platoon, who's going to join us, about the big gas question. How you doing, Little Platoon?
I am okay, thank you. Sorry I'm late. How are you?
Oh, doing great, doing great. We were just having the great gas debate. We had a woman was with her wife at a Albertsons store, and a gentleman, which is not what she called him, walked up to the counter that she was next to, and he passed gas in her direction, and she had a complete and utter meltdown. Went to the store manager, to the security guard. He's like, can't you just go away, leave?
She went to the security guards because a guy farted.
Oh yeah, I'll play you one more bit from it because you missed it. It's classic.
What's funny is we don't even know if he really did it to her, right? Like she's making it out like it was a big thing towards her, right? And notice that she said that she has no witnesses whatsoever, and you notice also her
wife
partner isn't even saying, oh yeah, it stunk to high heaven or anything like that to give you some kind of inclination that she may have been a part of this quote unquote fart assault.
Yeah, it's nuts.
We were walking down an aisle, and there were like two guys that walked up next to us. Peyton like walked away. My wife walked away for just a second, and they were like snickering to themselves or something. And like I didn't really think much of it, so I'm just looking at the candy aisle trying to decide what candy I want. And he walks by and gets like inches from me and just rips one, like farts like this far from me. That's disgusting to say. I can't even believe I'm having to say this. Bitch. This is Albertsons.
He said, just walk away, you fucking bitch.
This is Albertsons, by the way. And go to the customer service to be like, hey, this just happened. I was just disrespected in your store and called names like several times. And the security guard went and talked to him, came back, and they all just kind of looked at us and was like, well, can't y'all just leave? Is this a standard for society?
That's it.
Yes, it is.
Uncharted.
Walk
We live
away
in a
from
society.
farting people. That is the standard these days. You just walk away from the farters, all right? And you'll be fine. You don't have to go to the security guards.
Advertising the fact that that is a woman who has never used public transport, because worse stuff that happens
Yeah.
every single day. I know she's crying for sympathy, but she just makes it funnier.
Right, but I guess the question I keep asking, I'll try one more time. Is, what do you think? Do you think more people are chasing? Because Tom said that when I was asking, are people chasing now to be more victimhood itself, to make them known, to make them famous, or is this just people who can't handle life?
Both.
Both is good.
Yeah.
My suspicion would be these are people who can't handle life, and so victimhood presents them with a kind of framework in which they can get the kind of moral support from a community that otherwise wouldn't exist for them. Quite often, I suspect they're fairly lonely people, but they've latched onto an agony aunt advice column, which is Reddit or TikTok, and all they have to do is turn on the waterworks, and there will be very supportive people who've been told that to be a good person, you must support anyone, no matter what their claim to victimhood is. And then they get a little bit high on the social acclaim that they get for whatever disaster has befallen them.
You don't think that they're going to feel shame later? Like, look back a year or two now, go, I can't believe I actually did that. I went and complained about someone passing gas.
I don't get the sense these people feel much shame.
Yeah, because you ever notice that when they do get attacked online or people point out how much of a pussy they're being, then they act even more like a victim?
Yeah.
They just amp it up even more, and then they open like a GoFundMe.
Yeah. Talk about that. On the flip side, we had this other lady, Degenerate. I think Degenerate would be a better word. I'm not going to play the whole 4 minutes and 30 seconds, just bits here and there. She went absolutely insane on a plane. Unfortunately, the plane was already in the air and they couldn't do anything about it.
Stay there.
Don't
Let me
touch
show.
people.
No.
Don't
This is where.
Let me preface. She had a seat next to a woman who was fat, because she keeps saying it every minute. And she did not want to sit next to her, so she threw a fit. But it went really out of bounds.
The asshole is. Do not touch her. Look at her. Shut the fuck up. Don't fucking touch me.
Where's the flight agent to come in and get inventory?
Oh, they all come.
Let go for here. You cannot do that. Let go for here. I'm not. I'm not even touching your hair, bitch.
She's holding on.
I'm not even touching your hair while she pulls it. Yeah.
It's just when I look at these things, Warren, I'm like, where do these people believe that they have the right to act this way?
Yeah, it reminds me of where I was teaching. We had safety care because it was like special ed, often with students with behavioral challenges. And we had a lot of scuffles like this. And the hair pull is a classic. It's one of the most, it's not like it's going to kill you or anything, but it's such a common occurrence and it can be damaging. Like they'll usually just rip the hair out. So in safety care, you're trying to like push the hand back into the hair, so that when I'm seeing this, that's what's going through my mind, because like they should be locking her wrist to keep her from being able to pull away. But mentally, I don't think, I don't know what her circumstances are. She's clearly unhinged.
Oh
yeah.
Oh, wait till we get in some more seconds into it. She gets worse.
You need to let go. You need to let go right now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't want to sit next to a fucking fat lady.
Let go over here. Let go over here.
You guys are already past the point of no return. You're already past the point of no
over
return.
here.
Guy with the hat's doing a good job.
Okay.
So her hair, miss. Y'all see me.
Oh, he's doing the thing you were saying, bending her wrist. Okay.
Yeah,
Is that to
find a pressure
avoid her?
point or something? Yeah.
Is that to avoid her pulling more?
Pulling away. Yeah.
You know what's going on. It's just retarded. Yeah, put me on the ground. Put me on the ground. All right. Look at this fat lady. Look at this fat ass bitch. She can't even look. You can't even see her stomach. It's horrible. Look at her outfit. Look at this fat ass bitch.
You can't even
Hilarious.
see her stomach?
You can't
That doesn't
show
even
your
make
mouth
sense.
You're
I know.
embarrassed. You can't even see it because you're embarrassed. Shut the fuck up.
Who is Alana?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
So have we figured out who this dumb bitch is yet?
No. I'm gonna fast forward here. You can see her. They finally they zip tied her, and then she gets on the ground.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
Oh yeah. Once I see the outfit, it all comes together and makes sense.
Why?
She's an emo goth chick.
In 2025?
You not letting me go, motherfucker! You're corny as fuck!
She's probably a lesbian too. Speculatory.
Can't get out. Yeah, you shouldn't get out. You're fucking bad as shit. You disgusting bad. Fuck you.
Long story short, it ends this way for her.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Strapped to a gurney.
As it should.
She could be used as an advert for a rival airline. That would be a use.
It would be. Why? That's a good one.
If she owns something, she had to be on something.
I don't know, but that's the thing is you see so many people the way they act today, you would normally think like, okay, long ago they were on something. Mark Daly for $5. Mark Mitchell has polling that says nearly every woman and every Democrat is either under psychiatric care or diagnosed with mental illness. Great one. Yeah, we talked about that on FAFO, where he was talking about the numbers today, where I think it was over 32% of women claim to have some form of mental instability or mental health problem. I was stunned by the numbers. And he was saying how it has increased decade by decade. Well, let's just get through these super chats, see if we have any questions. Eric A for $2, make sanatoriums great again. Hell yeah.
Facts.
We definitely need them. I mean, they abused the hell out of them in the 40s and 50s when they were locking women away for no other reason than, a husband didn't like them or wanted to remarry, but they did serve a purpose once they were once the problems were addressed. So we do need to make sanatoriums great again. TGV Monster for $5. I know that 28 years later is fiction, but the idea of crazy mobs of people chasing after you to kill you is not much different from actual London. You know what? I'm actually working on a video about what I call the UK uprising, all the insanity. I just learned that 50 pubs a month from Birmingham to Leeds to London are closing. And there's an ordinance that they want to pass because they're stating that jokes inside of pubs are now offensive. So basically some non-binary Wiccan who identified as Sherwood's Force got offended and spoke to her MP, and they want to have banter bouncers.
Yeah, it's a weird extension of it's another set of workplace regulations. So like I wouldn't say it's an unintended consequence, but it's not the specific consequence of the bill. The bill is designed basically to say that you have a right in your workplace not to hear offensive jokes, but because a pub is a workplace, by extension, it means that banter in pubs is technically, possibly a criminal thing in which you can either get kicked out, fined, because the people who work at the pub have a right not to hear what you're saying. The obvious response is that if you don't think you can handle banter, don't go and work in a pub. That we don't really live in that kind of era at the moment. So workplace rights are very, very big with the Labour government, which is why very, very few people are getting jobs these days.
Right, but Platoon, it's a pub. Drink a few pints, you're telling jokes, bad jokes. I mean, that's the point, the community element. It seems to me like a workaround to break up the pubs, to break the community. Am I wrong there?
Well, that'll be one of the effects of the thing. If it goes through and gets regular enforcement, it will just be another thing that makes the pub trade more depressed. But We've been losing hundreds, if not thousands, of pubs every single year for a very, very long time. The smoking ban was a massive hit to pubs and working man's clubs in particular. Demographic change in cities where lots of pubs used to be is playing a big role. Gentrification in other areas is playing a big role as well. When you get people who move to a flat above a pub and then complain that it's noisy, because just fucking obviously move somewhere else. Don't live above a pub. It's not very good for the industry generally at the moment for a number of very different reasons. This is just adding to that list of reasons that pubs will be declining at a greater rate.
It seems I never thought pubs. It's like when I always think of the UK, I think of pubs like it's synonymous. I never would think that you could have a London without a pub. Every time I visited, I would see friends there, but I just can't imagine it going away. But it's the same way that I saw that there's a new, I don't know if it's an ordinance or a law, I have to check, that Starmer's trying to pass where you must use old tea bags in your car windows or face a 2,500 pound fine.
That's new on. Bags in car windows. What
yes,
for?
Because they said it needs to. Well, I don't know. I forgot the term. Demystify. They said in the mornings the not defrost the windows, but when they're hazy. Damn it, the word. It wasn't demystify. It was some type of demisting. Hold on, let me look it up because it's going to drive me crazy now. It was like 2,500 pounds is not your first offense. Your second offense is 2,500 pounds. Your first offense is a warning. And it is UK uprising, 2,500 pounds.
And it sounds mad enough to be a Labour policy, so I believe that it's happening, but I've just not seen the story.
I was stunned by it. Hold on. Here it is.
Is it defog?
Yeah, it's defog, but it's something else. Hold on. I'll tell you in a second. No. No, this is going to drive me crazy. Okay, here we go. Tea bag. Nope. So, here it is. There we go. Okay. Yes, it goes. They're going to fine you 2,500 pounds if you don't use tea bags in your car. Because it absorbs moisture and prevents foggy windows. It was an Express, Daily Mail, and the Times. So it's the empire that once ruled the planet is now issuing public safety alerts for breakfast beverages. I was just fascinated by it. So many things are changing there. Anyway, it's also, I was reading how, and get this one, there's a museum on Stratford upon Avon where Shakespeare was born, and they want to decolonize Shakespeare. They're saying, I couldn't believe it. You're talking about one of the greatest writers in history. They're saying holding him up as a genius is literally practicing white supremacy. Could you imagine that? Shakespeare?
I think I remember reading that because saying that Shakespeare is uniquely gifted and uniquely English is by implication saying that other cultures haven't produced great works of art themselves, which is obviously absurd. There's value in doing things like saying this is what Shakespeare is rumored to have taken inspiration from, because there's like Arabic equivalents of Romeo and Juliet, for example, that predate Romeo and Juliet by a good few centuries. Giving a broader awareness of Shakespeare's own cultural influences would be very valuable, but to say that we have to do it because we need to demystify Shakespeare as a uniquely talented English person is obviously the wrong way to go about that.
Yeah, it's do you see that more and more coming here? Have you seen that in education, Warren?
Yeah, I countered that when I was in graduate school. They called it decolonializing the canon, and it was very frustrating. I remember the dean, I was in the elevator with him right after this big protest, and we had been having a 4-hour class just talking about the protest, and the head of the social justice center was there because he was the dean, as the other guy was the dean, and we were in the elevator, and he was just sighing under his breath. He just like, I can't decolonialize the canon. I can't believe it. And he was extremely progressive and left-leaning, and he was even shocked that this was happening. There's no stories that really have not been told in some form, and Shakespeare shows that. We've seen Shakespeare retold in so many different iterations, and some are direct adaptations, some are just they're the same story in some other shape. I think for what I was hearing from the students, they wanted more authors. The way they articulated it was more authors that looked like them at the end of the day. And they wanted more professors that looked like them, and they wanted more students that looked like them that could resonate with their lived experience.
You know, I went years before I knew what that cockeyed son of a bitch Stephen King looked like.
Yeah, he's up here where I am.
Yeah, but you said they had a social justice center?
Yep. Yeah, they have an entire office for that, and they had anonymous bias reporting to the Social Justice Center. They had another office, the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. So they were now, that was back in 2016, 17, 18. I was there for 3 years. I haven't been on campus in a while, and I know they have hit, because of all this nonsense, they hit financial hardships. So they, as many universities have been doing, are been cutting these programs, because when you have to trim the fat, they're realizing it's simply bad business. It's a waste of money.
But did they seem like they had more power than other organizations on campus? Like did they?
When you when you can anonymously report someone's bias,
right?
It leads to problems, and that it was on it was right after that protest I was referring to, where 300 students marched into, more than 300 marched into the middle of the faculty meeting to claim that Emerson was deeply racist. And the evidence were simply in the form of a Facebook group called #EmersonSoRacist. And it was just essentially what we're describing, these anonymous reports of things that, and many of the professors that I was just beginning to teach as a graduate student. So the teacher that was bringing me in to teach her screenwriting course in the following semester had been reported, and her tune shaped very quickly, where she had been telling me, Warren, remember, give them the grade that they deserve. Here's an example. The student has not shown up to, except for like one class, hasn't turned in a single assignment. So in the case like this, don't be afraid to give them an F. We had the protest. We had everything I just described. She was reported because of something that she'd said in one of these bias reports. And she was so shaken by the power that was being exhibited that she suddenly, a few weeks later, Warren, remember what I was saying about giving the grade? Forget that. Like, you've got to recognize their lived experience, because that student reminded me how difficult it is to be Black at Emerson. And so I was wrong. That's literally what you said.
You know what the sad part is that Black people do themselves, we don't do ourselves any favors by going into this, because the real world isn't going to treat you with kid gloves. They're going to chew you up and spit you out. And they're not going to care if you're Black, if you're white, if you're whatever. Can you get the job done? Do you know how to write a screenplay or not? No, I don't. Okay. You're not going to get the jobs. You're not going to get what it is you're looking for. And they've done it to themselves by playing victim all the damn time. By playing victim, you actually, it's the bigotry of low expectation. Nobody expects anything of you, so you don't expect anything of yourself. It's like this vicious cycle. Instead of just saying, you know what, I got to be better. I got to do better. I got to actually show up. I got to do what everybody else is doing and lock in. And because we don't do that, and we see that permeated throughout our entire community, it's just a downhill, like downward spiral, and it just doesn't stop. And it's like, when people try to speak out against it, if I say something, I'm called every name in the book, and everybody's like, oh, why don't you see, like what just Warren was saying, my lived experience? Why aren't you paying attention to the things I've had to go through? I had such a hard life. Like, a lot of people have had a hard life. What are you talking about? Like, there's plenty of people in our general areas that we have all lived hard lives. So to me, it's just, I don't know, man. Colleges are indoctrination camps, and it's pretty sad.
And then there's an incentive structure where most colleges, you apply for a grant for whatever your field is. In my case, it was I need financing to make this film or documentary or whatnot, and they would issue these grants, making it very clear we're offering special grants to projects that reflect the lived experience of these minority groups. And so it got to a point where I was just like, there's no, I never even applied for a single one of those, because it was pointless.
Yeah.
But don't they realize that they are destroying the next generation, giving
No.
them great? They don't care
No,
about
they
that.
don't. They don't. They genuinely think that they're on the right side of all of this.
All right, Verbal Riot is joining us now. We'll bring him in. Come on, Dante. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, how's it going? Jen's doing well. Sorry I'm late. I have the dog this weekend, so I'm on her schedule right now.
No problem. Before we jump into Superman, I want to wrap this one thing up. The other day, I took my nieces. Do you ever heard of those claw factories where you go and they have the games where you put the tokens in and they have like the gifts and the little claws? You got to do all that.
Little arcades.
Yeah, the little arcade. Well, there's this place that was like Claw Paradise, something like this. Okay, got all these little kids. This just reminds me of that. And I saw one family that the little girl, I don't know, 12 years old, crying her butt off, just crying because she hadn't won anything in like 15 minutes. The dad goes over to the counter, pays the lady who runs the place to go set up the dolls so she can win. And I'm like, that's not helping her. And I said it low under my breath, not to the gentleman, right? I said it to my family. And he overheard it. And he was like, she's a little kid. Little kids have to win. And I'm like, dude, it's like, okay, sir, I wasn't talking to you, but since you addressed me, there's not going to be anybody around in her future to do that.
Right.
But he didn't care. And they did it again and again and again and again and again. 5 times. Each time resetting it, setting up the little, the little plushies and stuff in a perfect triangle so one will be on top so you could grab them. And I was just like, it sounds
everybody gets a trophy generation, man. That's where we are. Everybody has to win. Everybody has to get something. It's like, no, sometimes you don't win. Try harder, get better, right?
Yeah, but losing is one of the many ways we learn when we learn from it how to win.
Yeah.
Because you lose, you fall down, you got to get back up. If somebody keeps lifting you up, that's why it's like hearing what you were saying, Warren. It makes me feel for those. It's like, who is responsible? Is it the college? Or is it the students? Shouldn't the students say, hey, I want to succeed in life. I want to learn this. I need to know where I'm at.
If you allowed a cat to be lazy for the rest of his life, is he ever going to do anything? No. It's the same thing here. You got these kids raised up, like you just said, they're the participation generation, raising their kids now to where everybody's got to win. Everybody's special. Well, as you know, when everybody's special, nobody's special. So we're at this place where everybody's supposed to be on this even line. But that's just not how the world works. Some people are better at A than they are at B. Right. Some people are better at C than they are at A. It's just the way the world works, and we all learn to work together, and that's how it used to be. But now everybody thinks they're just going to have everything handed to them. And this is why fast food, restaurants, the service industry, the medical industry, it goes all the way down the line, is suffering now because you have all these people who think they're entitled to just walk right in the door and be the manager or the boss. And it's like, no, you got to work your way up. First, you got to clean some bathrooms. Then you got to wash some dishes. Then you work your way up to being the manager eventually. Like, they don't understand that. And we have our generation, as I've been calling it, the generation that's been overlooked, because now all the people that were before us, they got, their moment in the sun and they got to retire. But now the generation underneath us thinks they're so freaking entitled that too many of us have stepped out of the way for them. So now we're going, where are we? It's like, what have we got to show for? What have we done for our society now? It's like, what, Elon Musk is the best of we got in our generation because he's kind of in that age group. Mm-hmm. It's like, who do we point at and say, this is our, Einstein or our, whatever, JFK, what have you. We don't have any of that in our group because nobody was ever able to really kind of do anything with their life. We're that lost generation, just kind of stuck in the middle of the bullshit between the hippies and the wokies.
Interesting. Well, I want to ask y'all before we move on, Dante and Verbal. There was a teacher that Matthew Mastronati. Is that how to say it, Warren? Mastronati.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I believe so.
So he wasn't fired, but his contract wasn't renewed because he read To Kill a Mockingbird, and his students. Correct me if I'm wrong. Where his students had challenged him because Warren made a video on it. It's a great video. Go check it out, please. Where he interviews him. And then he has another one where he's talking about it. So what happened is one of his students was asking, would you read this completely? Because, you have the N-word in there. And so he did. And then his contract wasn't renewed. Is that the correct story?
Yeah, there was another teacher that was refusing to read it, and that's fine. But a student brought it up. He was a Spanish teacher, so some people are trying to attack him on those grounds. But his point is that this has to do with, like what we were talking about before the show, George, like the importance of how the words are just the boats floating on the surface,
Right.
and subtext are the tools. So he just disagreed, and then a student challenged him and said, "Well, I bet you won't read it," and he did. And one of them was recording. And his final hearing is coming up in 3 days on the 25th. So we'll see what happens. There's a chance he might not be, but the way the school districts do this, they're very vague about it, where they're going out of their way to not give him a solid answer that it's because you said this word out loud. And essentially all he did was read a book that was approved curriculum in the canon out loud. It's like, that's really all he did. So yeah, they make it very vague. They're trying to claim that there were complaints, but they won't provide anything. It's
horrible. I want to play a 1-minute clip from your interview for him, because I want everybody, if you can, go check him out. Fletcher, if you can get his link and share it with the audience, because he's going to need all the support, because he shouldn't deserve to be fired. I don't think anyone here believes someone should be fired because they read To Kill a Mockingbird completely out in the open. Nope. No. I think we're all in agreement. Yeah, I think you should be able to. Yeah.
There's a difference. I mean, it's the use mention distinction is the thing that comes up. It's one thing to actually use the word directed at someone as an insult. It's another thing to use the word to describe the word being used, to describe what it means, to use it in context, to put it in the mouth of a character. All of these things used to be absolutely fine and accepted and allowed. But I mean, this is only one, I think probably the most recent example of a teacher who's got into trouble with this. There was the guy who was teaching Mandarin a few years ago, and was sort of going through like the differences in sort of Mandarin pronunciation, which is, it's a language where intonation is incredibly important, and trying to make people aware that you can't immediately overreact to someone who might misuse a word because it sounds like another word. And he gave an example from Mandarin, which sounds like the N word in English. I think he was fired for doing that. Which again is just use mention distinction. It's kind of perverse that you're not allowed to do it, because it also means that you're not allowed to put the word in the mouth of a character who is villainous and to have his use of the word make him unambiguously a villain. Effectively, you're not allowed to portray evil people, which is obviously untenable, but these people don't have any kind of grounding in what used to be a classical education or a liberal arts education. So you are now just ruling out entire tracts of fiction because the modern day use of the word is indistinguishable from the modern day mention of the word. And it's kind of expanded as well, because the more successful that is, the more other groups will find their own word, and the more they will seek to use the exact same mechanic to try and punish people who attack them. So I got in trouble for doing that. I told a joke in my Captain America 4 video, I think it was. Taking the piss out. I'm not even going to say it on stream because you'll probably get demonetized for it because it's ridiculous. But in the same way that in the Second World War, the English referred to Germans as Krauts or Jerrys because it's just what you do. You abbreviate. It's kind of a way of demystifying the enemy.
I mean, we did
Americans did it to Japanese, right? In America, I said the character in Captain America 4 had this mad plan to go and massacre the abbreviation for Japanese. And that's immediately demonetizes. But that is a word that was frequently used, B, actually his plan, and C, indistinguishable from other types of use of that abbreviation, which are not demonetized in the same way. But because an interest group has latched onto the word and thought, well, we can now shield ourselves from criticism because of this, it's entered the lexicon. There's no actual rule behind it. It is just whatever social power happens to be.
Well, since it's Juneteenth weekend and I identify this weekend as Black, I don't have a problem with To Kill a Mockingbird being read in its complete. But here's a couple of minutes from Warren's interview of Matthew.
Okay. So, yeah, welcome, Matthew. Thank you for joining me today. Tell us a little bit about what's going on and who you are.
It's really good to be with you. I'm really glad that we were able to connect, and our similar stories have sort of brought us together here. But yeah, so you've heard the story. I am a high school teacher. I teach high school Spanish in the public school system. And to make a long story short, there was a classroom incident where I found myself talking about the book To Kill a Mockingbird. This happened after a student asked me a question about the book and whether I would read it. And I read a passage that included a naughty word, that the forces which govern our culture.
See, that's what bothers me. I don't think there should be any naughty words. The words. It's a book. It's providing context for the time. It's the character. It's just anyway. Enough of my
Well, again, what's stupid about this whole thing is that this was approved, right? This was approved by the school. This book. You know what? It reminds me of like when black folks get mad when white folks repeat or rap a song that they've heard on the radio where they say the N-word 1,000 fucking times, right? And they want those same white folks to buy their singles, right? To buy their albums, but yet tell them that they can't say the word that's in the fucking song that they put out.
Right.
It's like a setup, man. And you can't have it both ways. You can't put it out and then tell people, oh, since you bought it, you can't do this now, right? The school approved that this book, they approved that this is recommended reading, right? Words and all the words, right? They didn't have anything crossed out. So the fact that he repeated this and now he's getting fired for it is bullshit.
Of course, because what's next? What words are next? I mean, in many ways, we're living through.
But again, this is the book that they approved of, right? I can see if he brought in a book of his own and just started like spouting off, right? But no, this was approved by the school. So who's really at fault?
We've already had a South Park episode and an entire movie about this. People forget. South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. We went to war with Canada over naughty words. Yeah, like we're gonna get to that point, kids. Reality is going to become South Park at some point. That's where
I think it already is. It's kind of the more you look at the news, it's impossible to it's you kind of wonder how they even managed to keep making it because it's just a documentary at this point.
It is.
The episode with the Harley drivers is quite a good one because that is entirely about like the evolving meaning of curse words or slur words.
Right, so that's the one I was referring to.
And applying it to Harley drivers because like they're not gay, but they're really, really annoying, which is what the word F used to mean anyway. So
yeah, no, and that's the exact episode I was talking about. And then you also had, and Trey and Matt remind me of Tarantino, right? Because like they did that to Tarantino when Django came out, and they're like, he's like, I reject your hypothesis. I'm not even going to entertain this conversation, right? Like he's like, I have the right to use words. I'm a writer. Right. Like, and most of the people that were using that N-word in the movie, guess what? As was pointed out by you guys, they were bad guys.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Sorry, I had an audio problem. It was, I don't know if it played through y'all, but I had two other videos for some reason were in the back. Okay.
No, we didn't hear it.
Thank God. I was like, what the hell is going on? When you're talking about how South Park and how we're living in a South Park world, there was this video that was shared with me the other day. Now, as we jump into, as we're going to jump in right into Superman in a second, which I had never seen before, and I have still not stopped cracking up laughing. So there was this girl who was on whatever, and she was talking about how she had taken 8 weeks of Krav Maga. Because it's about all the girl boss films, we see where you have the 90-pound girl. Talk about Captain America, Brave New World, Little Platoon, where you had that tiny little girl, beating up the 220-pound, mercenaries or special force guys. Okay, so this girl, real life, she looks like she's like 85 pounds, soaking wet, was explaining how she took 8 weeks of Krav Maga and she can take anybody down, and she now is empowered and can defend herself. Well, she decided to prove it.
Yeah, but I'm willing to give it a shot.
I'll do it.
You're like trained to do that, though.
Do you want to do it? I mean, you could try. Go ahead. I'll sit here. Go ahead. Don't choke me though.
She's gonna put you in a chokehold.
There she is, the Krav Maga.
I haven't done this kind before, but I'm gonna try to get the leverage.
All right.
Don't hurt.
Sit right here.
Don't hurt him. Don't knock him out.
All
right. Don't be drinking anything at home.
Palm it different. Don't put your thumb like that. Palm it. Otherwise, you're going to hurt your thumb. So I'm going to get you.
Wow. Is this allowed? What the?
Nah, you can't do it.
You too little.
That was too easy.
Or the ball.
That was way
Don't
too
kick
easy.
him the ball. Don't kick him the ball.
Stop. What are you doing?
No, you told me stop. It ain't over till it's over.
You're not really playing.
It ain't over till it's over.
Killed you just now, Shorty.
What the
Dude.
I could have killed you and you hit me with my shit.
I mean, in real life,
Right, I fucking did.
What the fuck?
your first Krav Maga lesson was.
Wow.
She was like a little spider monkey on him. It's like, it's like, so I think that's the problem when you have a Hollywood portraying, when so many people are in many ways getting their modern education from films or television shows, and they see these, 90-pound girls beating up 220-pound men's asses, and she's like, okay, I can do it. I'm going to go take Krav Maga. This guy was like, you do it.
And they always try to use the excuse of, well, you guys didn't mind it, when Black Widow was doing it, in Iron Man and Avengers, and you guys were all okay with it. I'm like, yeah, because we were looking at her ass. We didn't care what she was actually doing. I mean, she was wearing fucking leather and her ass was out. Of course we're watching it and we're okay with it.
And there's a
But
difference
let's
too,
be
because she
real
was
here.
using, even then, Black Widow in those movies was tending to use more momentum based attacks. So even they did take a bit more care to make it semi believable. She wasn't just
Right.
jumping on a guy's back and trying to choke him out. It's but that's a really good example, potentially a really tragic example of the dangers of making people winners in everything that they do. Because if that girl goes to those lessons and comes away thinking that's self-defense and I'm good at it and that's what I'll do if I get attacked on the street, she's dead. That's not going to end well. It's quite dangerous. There are better ways for women to defend themselves than by being told they're good at Krav Maga.
Yeah,
that girl needs pepper spray. She needs
a pistol,
a taser. Yeah, man.
She needs a
ain't
gun.
getting no.
She needs a
She ain't
gun.
getting no holds on nobody.
She
man.
needs
Need
a
to call
gun.
the cops. 911.
And not for farts.
You know what? There's a really amazing Joe Rogan clip. I don't know if you guys saw that, where he was talking to a woman about this same situation. And I'm gonna try to find the clip because I think I have it. But
Okay.
it was basically explaining to her that, 'cause she was like, look, no matter how skilled I am, she's like, I won't be able to beat you, would I? And he's like, no, because I am bigger, but I'm also very skilled, right? And Joe Rogan is a skilled fighter. He's not just a big
Right.
guy. But then Joe told her, he's like, here's the thing. I would be in the same situation you were in if I were fighting a guy bigger than me with the same skills that I had. He's like, then I would be fucked. So there is logic to this. Size does matter. Women should know that, but it does fucking matter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it does. All right, I'm going to read these super chats and we're jumping into Superman. All righty. Mark Daly for $5. Every time I try to parallel Genesis 12:2-3 in current news in the Middle East, YouTube won't let me send the super chat. Okay. Well, I got it. I got what you're sending, and I appreciate it. Graph Web for $2. Right on time. We're going to talk about Superman, then we're going to talk about Disney. In the name of all that is holy, cancel Disney Plus. He is the most dedicated, passionate, obsessive man with one goal: to cancel Disney Plus, and I appreciate it and love you, Graph Web. Thank you for that. Mr. Burger, one of the most talented people on YouTube, for $5. Hail, Giant Slayer. Thank you for the shout-outs on X. Absolutely. And thanks for supporting Mr. Burger and the rest of Burger Bunch. We got your back, George, and I got yours. I want to get you to animate for me one day, George the Giant Slayer, little animation. But I love you. Please go check out Mr. Burger. Patrick Robinson for $5, 28 years later. 6 out of 10. 28 days later should have been a one and done. Don't know if I will see the new one in January. I haven't seen it yet. I was going to ask if anybody had seen it here. I watched a little bit. You've seen it, Platoon, right?
Yeah, we did it yesterday on EFAP for many hours, which is why my voice isn't quite functioning today. Yeah.
Better than the first?
No.
Oh, because I only heard one clip. So you saw it, DA, too. You saw it, Verbal?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Because I heard one clip, and I'm going to share this. I don't know if this is spoiling anything, so if you don't want to hear a spoiler, it's just one scene. I heard a clip from Open Bar. Is that true, or are y'all pulling our legs? That someone tried to help a zombie give birth?
That is true. They walk onto a train because, there's so much that goes wrong either side of it, but they're going through, walk in there, and then the mother who's got, I won't spoil it, but she's unwell, hears a noise, goes onto the train, and there is a very heavily pregnant infected person, and she helps it give birth. And there's a brief moment where the very heavily infected pregnant person seems not to be evil zombie anymore and becomes kind of human. They put the palms together, they give birth to the baby. It's a very strange sequence and very important. Well, probably will be very important, but because the movie overall is strangely structured, this incredibly important development is not the subject of a single scene in the film. It happens, but the rest of the story is about other things. So if you're waiting to find out why, what the significance is, how it works, maybe that will be addressed in the second film. And there's a huge amount about the first film that we're just sitting there thinking, I guess we'll have to wait to see if it makes sense at some point in the future, which is not usually a great sign for the beginning of a trilogy. But
I've been corrected. Infected by Man of War, not dead. You are right. Infected, not dead. The Rage. But I read that Danny Boyle shot this one and the next one, which is 28 years later, something Hall of Bone
Temple.
Temple of Bone Temple, back to back. And that if that goes well, then Cillian Murphy will
I thought
come
Nia
back.
DaCosta was doing the next one.
She is.
He wrote it. She's directing it, which is, I don't have a lot of confidence in her, especially after Marvels. So, but supposedly she did really well with Candyman. 28 days.
I don't know. I never watched him after the first one. I don't know why Sandra Bullock never came back.
That'd be interesting, Sandra Bullock. But okay, so
also Candyman wasn't that good. So
I didn't like what Nia DaCosta did with a Marvel, but because I was cutting her only a little bit of slack because it's Marvel, and we know how they just they'll use somebody's name and then tell them what to do, give them their shot list. But so Patrick Robinson gives 28 years later 6 out of 10. What do you gentlemen give it?
I liked it a little bit better than most people. I probably would also give it a 6 out of 10. The first half of the movie is solid.
Okay.
There's a father-son dynamic that's going on in the first half that I absolutely dug. That disappears in the second half of the film, and then that's when everything just goes to shit. So, but it left it in kind of an interesting place. I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen next, because where they leave the movie at the very end is just kind of like, what? So yeah, and I don't want to spoil it, but it's different. It's different. So, but yeah, I would give it like a 6 out of 10. I thought it wasn't as bad as a lot of people are saying, but it's not. It's you could wait for this. You could wait for it.
So it's a wait. It's not go shell out the cash.
You could wait for this.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'd wait at least until the second one's out, because then you'll know if a lot of the stuff that you're having to put up with in this film will be worth putting up with. How much of it is just wrong and how much of it is a bizarre way of introducing a plot point that we didn't have time to quite explore yet. So on its own terms, I mean, I'd probably be inclined to give it closer to a 4 than a 6, but I don't know. It's a really difficult one to judge because there are so many things which are just like open-ended, really. And it's not, I don't think, ever a good sign that the first film in a trilogy is not a complete story. Most first films in good trilogies are complete stories. They work on their own. Fellowship of the Ring absolutely works on its own. A New Hope works on its own. You can tell a complete story, which is also part of a broader story. If you're waiting and you're saying to people, well, it might make sense, you've just got to have a little faith, then you've got to give people reason to have faith, and the movie doesn't do a huge amount to do that. So it's, not great.
Wow, and I was looking forward to it. I was really.
It looks beautiful. It's really well shot. It's very stylistically unique. Sound design is interesting. They do interesting things. There are interesting questions that it raises. It's just that there's a lot of stuff in there that's also just broken.
Did they explain how after the first movie it was supposed to be, or after the last movie it was supposed to be done, saved? Everybody's.
No, well,
retcons the second movie.
Yeah, because the second one, 28 Weeks, which is not a good film anyway, but 28 Weeks ends obviously with like the final shots in Paris.
Right.
And the implication is like, so yeah, there's the infection. The infection has reached Europe, so you think, well, they're fucked. But the beginning of this movie, opening titles really just says, yeah, the infection was just beaten back from Europe. Okay. So now it's back to just England being a complete isolated like quarantine zone, which nobody has ever tried to retake or drop support into. And then Alex Garland, the writer, who is very hit and miss, more miss than hit, said something like, yeah, maybe they just nuked Paris. I don't know if you know where Paris is, but if the infection has reached Paris, then it's also gone through most of France. So no, Europe is fucked.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Thank you for that. All right. Well, who do we have next? TGV Monster for $2. Hi, everyone. Good to see you all. Great. Always to see you, TGV Monster. And we have Istophobos, member for 8 months. Fartgate 2025. The victims are real. I'm telling you, it's going to start a trend. It's going to start a trend. TGV Monster gifted 1 George the Giant Slayer memberships. I appreciate it. Whoever got it, please go thank TGV Monster. He's a gentleman. Blitzen gifted 5 George the Giant Slayer memberships. Thank you, Blitzen. And whoever got it, please, again, go thank Blitzen. He is an avid supporter, and he helps keep the lights on. And that means our next member stream is going to be that much bigger. I love it. We had one yesterday. Soul123 for $50. Wow. Thank you. That's the first one in a long time for 50. Pol Pot would be proud of what's taking place in Western universities. Pol Pot, Marxism is a malignant cancer and has spread through our institutions. Everything is problematic as this form of Marxism works to destroy, murder, all that came before. On point. Warren, what do you think of that? Have you seen, since you left, have you seen a change? Are things getting better in universities? Because we hear from the administration all the time how he's like targeting Harvard. He wants them to change. They get rid of DEI and everything. Are you seeing a change taking place, or is it?
In regards to the financial predicament that they're finding themselves in, that's forcing change. Like we were talking about them cutting those programs. I think the Harvard example is a really interesting one. That it's a larger conversation and there's interesting takes on both sides. I do think it's very strange. I mean, Harvard's the oldest corporation in the country, I believe, in the Western Hemisphere. It's just a very, but in regards to the idea of like Marxism, postmodernism, I think most people within the universities don't call it those things. Most of them don't even really know what those things are, but they're still adopting the ideas. Like we were talking about essentially the fear of hierarchies. And like we've heard Jordan Peterson talk about this a lot, but that's what I noticed. It was the idea that all hierarchies are just a game of power, and there's no such thing as a natural hierarchy that comes from competency. So like we were talking about the importance of like certain people are going to inevitably be better at certain things. And that came from this postmodern idea that it's all just social constructs used to maintain power. And therefore all hierarchies should not be recognized. So that's really the core of the problematic ideas that have been leading to this. But yeah, financially it's going to drive.
But do you see any light at the end of the tunnel? Like, do you hear and see like the universities are changing, whether they're being forced or they're doing it on their own? Or
It's hard for me to say. I haven't been on campus in a while, but I think they're going to be. They are changing because they have to, but they're not there yet. Okay. I think we're in the midst of that conversation. They could. So I'm interested to see where this Harvard case goes.
We got to talk about that one day. Just do a show on that Harvard, because I've been researching it, and it's fascinating how there are a lot of people from the outside who are split. Some are saying, hey, this is a university, stay out of it. They should be able to do what they want to do. And then you have the other side who's like, well, wait a minute. The university is all leveraged in one direction, only giving one side.
Yeah, the justification is, well, they're doing important research. But as we were talking about if I were to use Emerson as a case study, but that's different than Harvard, I understand, right, research-wise, but they had this thing called the engagement lab, which that would be their equivalent of the important research being conducted. And that's where the postmodernism and Marxism literally, I saw the thickest. I took a class with the guy who runs the engagement lab, and we were literally chapter 1 of the book I still have, analyzing the consumption of media in culture. It was Marx, chapter 1. So yeah.
No, I see. I keep seeing little lights at the end of the tunnel, here and there, but I'm an optimist. What about you, Dante? You see colleges changing, especially after the last couple of weeks with the riots in LA? Because I saw a lot of university students there. Some of them.
Man. I think college is just a breeding ground for monsters, man. I think college is probably the worst thing right now, because I look, man, these kids are leaving high school. They're going in one way and they're coming out just militant retards. I mean, that's the only word I can really think of. Okay. They're coming in with a backwards way of thinking They're coming in, coming out, I'm sorry, just backwards. They're coming out with this weird mentality that they're owed something. They're coming, and maybe because they were sold a bill of goods, right? I mean, we were all sold, the dream, right? You go to college, you do your 4 years, you come out, you have an amazing job and an amazing life and all this other shit, right? But they're not. And on top of that, and maybe because they're not learning anything useful, right? Because they're probably not. I'm sorry, but if you're majoring in photography, you deserve what you get. Okay. I know USC is like 50 grand, I'm sorry, that was
wasn't that Pepperdine?
That was years ago.
Yeah, that was I know it's probably like $100 grand a semester now for USC, right? So you go in there and you major in art. Guess what? Now you owe how much money? 500, 600,000 with loans and payback and all that. So I just think that college is no longer, I don't want to say it's not relevant, because look, we need doctors, we need lawyers, we need people who could do the higher minded shit, right? We need that. But for other things, probably not so much, man. I mean,
what about filmmakers?
You ask a lot of billionaires what college they go to, they'll probably say, "Nah, I dropped out." So
we need filmmakers, don't you think? We need filmmakers to start telling stories again.
Absolutely not. We don't need filmmakers for college. I mean, they don't have to go to college.
I would tell a filmmaker, don't go to film school. Probably just if you're weighing the debt that you're going to get. I mean, in undergrad, I actually went to a really good film school. Like if you were trying to go into the studio system, a pipeline like that would be, you could justify that because it's literally there. We were overtrained in a sense, and there's a lot of connections, but that's a unique case. There's a lot of nonsensical film schools out there at the same time. So it really depends on the college.
Okay.
It's a great way of breeding additional animosity as well, is the fact that up until, I think people are probably starting now to slip away from the idea that university was once sold as the gateway into higher income. The graduate premium's kind of disappearing. I think it has disappeared in the United Kingdom already. But it was especially sold as a kind of, fast track to better your social station. Lots of parents wanted their kids to go to these places because they didn't want their kids to have the life that they had. They wanted a better life for their kids and were told that education was the way to do it. The problem is when you have what is called elite overproduction, you start filling more and more people's heads with the kinds of skills which are simply not useful in the market that sustains them. You get more people coming out with way more debt, and there's no jobs for them to fulfill. They get angry, and lots of them are already told to be angry whilst they're there. But when they come out and find that their life prospects haven't been meaningfully increased for the amount of money they've taken on to get these qualifications, they are going to become slightly more radical anyway, because this happens all the time. It's not just a modern university phenomenon. Elite overproduction has been kind of the hotbed of revolutionary fervor almost around the world in any conceivable time you care to look. Most revolutionaries are university educated. Most working class movements are led by people who are not working class. They went to university and they are part of the cultural elite, but they didn't have jobs available for them. Even Osama bin Laden was one of these people. Goes, studies architecture, comes out, could have had a job in his father's firm, wasn't really one available to him. He wasn't really good enough for it. He becomes a political radical. But we keep doing it because we've expanded the college loan industry to the point where anyone can take any amount of money. The taxpayer might end up footing the bill for it. Go there, do nothing, have your head filled with nonsense by teachers who don't really know much themselves, come out, no jobs, and no affordable housing. What do you expect people to do with that? They're going to be pretty pissed off.
Yeah, I think that's the key problem, because many of these colleges they're just going to look for the demand, and they're not worried so much about can you get a job with this. They just want to satisfy that demand. And much of the demand is fun and easy classes, so like cultural media studies or whatnot. Many of those are the bad filmmaking forms of filmmaking. It's just not, but someone wants to do it. If there's enough students that want to do that, it is a business at the end of the day. They are trying to make money. I think it's crazy that many of these colleges like Harvard have tax exemption status, which is one of the things that's really triggered this whole battle. And I think for good reason. There's definitely a conversation to be had around that.
Well, as far as, go ahead.
No, after you.
I was just gonna say, as far as like people coming out of film school making movies, like there really hasn't been a good crop of filmmakers to come out of film school since the USC Mafia, which would be like George Lucas and Martin Scorsese and all those guys. Because even Spielberg and Tarantino didn't go to film school. And most of them will tell you it's mostly a waste of time unless you just want to learn the technical stuff. That's about
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, the shooting gallery. So the indie movement in New York, SUNY Purchase had a similar kind of mafia come out of it. They founded the shooting gallery, and that imploded because of really one guy with bad business practices. And one of the founders of that was my professor, Bob Goss. He was my mentor in undergrad. But that's an example of why that undergrad school, like for that pipeline, if that's what you want to do, that'd be a good one. But the other problem is the Hollywood, the studio system now, and you don't need to play that game it's almost untenable to play the independent game in the studio system. Now they're really just go do it, go make it. But then that would lead to the conversation around unions and this lack of an alternative model.
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
unions
look,
are why
man,
movies
you
cost so much. Yeah, sorry.
Exactly.
Yeah, you look at a guy like Lloyd Kaufman, right? Like, if you want to make a movie, you can make a movie. That's not the problem. I think the reason why a lot of these kids go to film schools because they have the illusion that, you know, the genius film that they make is going to be the one, right? The one that gets all the praise and make all the money and this and that. Because if it was just about making movies, they can make a movie without going to school. And especially, come on, man, we're talking 2025, right? You can hop on YouTube right now and learn anything.
Yep.
Anything. I learned how to make whiskey on YouTube. You can learn how to make anything, or do anything. So you really don't need these big schools, man. But the problem is, like he said, these big schools are a business. You have these professors who come in there trying to sell their book, right? Because you can't pass the class unless you buy their book. All these little things that come along with it, man, that at the end of the day, education is last on the list. And even the education they're getting isn't that good. So again, it's a breeding ground for monsters. And I don't think at this point they should be taxed. Like there was a time where I was like, yeah, you know, maybe taxes should go to some of these schools. I think that money needs to get pulled out of colleges now.
Yeah.
Pull it out, pull the money out.
Agreed.
And we shouldn't have to pay for anybody's loans.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Oh, yeah,
that's what's led to this loan structure, and it's absolutely crazy. It's the only loan I'm aware of that you don't really need to qualify. They're just handing it out because it's this wheel that we see keep turning. Harvard had, and this is the reason Harvard is going to be because it's the oldest college in America, the oldest corporation. It has the largest endowment. It's crazy.
Yep.
No, but that is it. Y'all all bring up great points. Sorry, there was a lightning strike outside and it breaks my battery. So I'm gonna reboot in a second.
Well, and Verbal's right too, because back in the day, a lot of the guys that used to go to film school, they didn't go for an education. They go so you could get access to all the equipment in the film and get that little card. Because once you get that, that's the big deal.
Right.
Because that was the big thing between becoming a filmmaker back in the day compared to now. And Verbal's right. Anybody can make a movie right now. You have a 4K HD camera right here in your hands.
Yep.
Okay. And that's what every movie's shot on. Sure, they may have fancier, more expensive cameras that they're doing it on, but basically they're the same thing. And if you want to go make the next Clerks or the next whatever insert your indie film here.
Dude, forget
you
indie,
can do
man.
it.
I mean, they have VFX programs.
Yeah,
now
you can make anything now.
Like
Yeah.
it's crazy what you could do on your own.
Well, and that's kind of what we've been saying this AI thing is going to be, and that's a whole nother conversation, but this where the AI thing is going to come into play sooner or later. Because like I said, some kid in their basement is going to remake the Star Wars sequels with AI, and they're going to be 10 times better, and Hollywood's going to panic. And it's going to be like, this is what we've been trying to tell you guys for a while. If you don't come up with something that's worth a crap, nobody's going to care, right? Because we all can do what you do now. It's not like it used to be where what was between you and a movie was millions of dollars. Like you just said, you can literally go and make Jurassic Park in your own backyard and make dinosaurs look just like they do in the movie. So, like, there's no excuse anymore. If you want to make a movie, go make a movie.
And there was also a time, you know, where with film school, you went because of the connections, right?
Yeah,
especially
exactly.
A school like USC. There was a pipeline. It was almost like a secret handshake, right? It's like you go to the studio, you say you graduated from USC Film School, they give you the wink, and then you get maybe not the director's job, but you'll get something higher than a PA,
An assistant or something like that. Yeah.
something a little higher than a PA. So there was a system in place.
Yeah,
For
something
people
else
who
I
went to a big film school.
something I
But now
noticed.
what you see is a lot of people don't have the passion for it. It's like the films that we're getting now coming out of Hollywood, it's just like recycled garbage. And we need people that actually have the passion to tell stories, interesting stories, different stories than what we're getting. And it seems like Hollywood's not giving that to us, which is why Hollywood's dying. And everybody's starting to say, well, what's going on in some of these other independent films? Or let me just like completely log out of Hollywood altogether and then go find stuff from Eastern entertainment, or I'm just going to spend my time watching TikTok, or I'm going to watch YouTube. I'm going to do a host of many other things. And a lot of like creative people are saying, let me kind of drift into those arenas because that's where the people are. The people are all there, and maybe, you know, they'll see my film or they'll see whatever it is I'm doing. And then that's how I'll get out there and I'll get my name out there. But going into Hollywood and going to film school, like those traditional methods, it seems like all of that's dried up because it's like nobody in Hollywood is really doing anything interesting. So why would I want to go there now anyway? If I think somebody just said, if you're trying to become a filmmaker, don't even go to Hollywood. Like back in the day, if you were just trying to be an actor, you would come to Hollywood, right? You'd be a waiter or whatever, do whatever you needed to do while you were, you know, doing auditions. And it seems like that's gone away. You know, because the work in LA is drying up. It's drying up fast. You know, there's no longer a good like landing spot if you are trying to get into the film game out here. So you might as well just go ahead and do it on your own.
Yeah, I made a video about this when the strikes were happening, because trying to point out it's basic economics that show you why there's a shortage of jobs and less movies being made. It costs more to make. It's so ironic. We're talking about how the technology has become cheaper and more accessible, but the cost of making a movie has artificially increased because of the demands from the union like, on writers and such. So, and something else that I really found interesting is this ranking system of film schools that come out of the Hollywood Reporter is such a farce in a way. So I was describing how in undergrad I went to UNC School of the Arts, which I do think would qualify as one of the top 10, and they were ranked within the top 10. I think there were like 6 or something, but Emerson College is ranked on that list, and it should not be on that list. I can tell you, it's all artificial. It's all just insider trading in baseball, essentially.
Yeah, and like I said, there was a time when film school was relevant, right? It's just no longer relevant.
Like, what's the pipeline now?
It just doesn't mean anything anymore to anybody, right? I mean, there is no more secret handshake or wink. No one cares.
Okay, so what's the pipeline now to produce good film?
There is no. Well, I mean, I hate to say it, but I mean, let's just say, you know, even though Harvey's put away, things are still happening in that direction. You know what I mean? Like, you still might have to suck a dick to make a movie. I mean, look, let's just call it what it is here. I mean, that's how shit is getting done.
So you're saying it's going back to the old Hollywood way?
Oh, I mean, old. It never changed.
Well, I thought it changed with Me Too. I mean, you just had Johnny Depp gave an interview to the Sunday Times 2 days ago, which was just picked, I think, up by Deadline and Variety, where he was saying that he was treated basically like a crash test dummy for the Me Too movement. And he was stating that how it helped destroy Hollywood. But
George, it didn't go away. It just, they hit it better
went
when
underground.
Me Too came along. But it didn't go away.
Well, Johnny Depp was a reminder of why we used to say we need a little bit more proof from some of these accusations from women when it came to powerful men, because they are a target, right? And we know that. And what Amber Heard was one of these crazy chicks that we were warned about, but everybody just got behind her and rallied behind her and believed her at first. Because why? Because of this Me Too movement, and exactly what everybody warned would happen kind of played out with the whole Johnny Depp case, right? Like, again, I'm not talking about Weinstein was innocent or anything like that. I'm just saying that.
No one's saying that.
No. What I'm saying is what we had was a system in place where it's like, okay, guess what? Executives and big movie stars and people like that, sports stars, get accused of this kind of crap on a daily, right? Like they even have like a lawyer just to kind of handle this kind of stuff sometimes, because you get some crazy person who claims I have their baby, even though they've never even been in the same room with them. You know, like Michael Jackson had how many kids that came up when after he died that all these people lined up claiming to be Michael Jackson's kid,
which is some bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mike wasn't out in these streets like that. Come on, man.
Okay, so what advice would y'all give then before we move on? What advice would y'all give to someone who wants to be a filmmaker today? Warren, what would you say?
I would say just go do it. Don't try and play a rigged game, which is Hollywood. It's never been easier to connect with an audience. We were talking about YouTube. I mean, the audience doesn't lie. If you make fire, the audience will come. We see it on YouTube now and then. I understand there's still that people look down on YouTube and whatnot, but I do think that's rapidly changing. But it's the best place to, because if you make the movie, you put it out there, it either connects with an audience or it doesn't. In Hollywood, that's the only leverage you really have at the end of the day. And that's what everyone is still fighting over, is that fire in a bottle. They're all trying to find it. No one really knows what it looks like, no matter what they claim. But when they do think they see it, that's when that's the only time you actually have leverage, especially with like distribution and whatnot. They'll just take you for a ride. Otherwise, that's the only way you can push back on it, is if you actually have the genuine quality story, something like what Tarantino creatively did. But there's nothing preventing you from making what Tarantino made.
Gotcha.
Right?
The
Like
big gap
technology
is,
wise.
Yeah, the big gap is having that major studio machine behind you with advertising, right? Like that's the big thing
They spend half the budget at least in promoting it and advertising. So, but if you're an independent filmmaker, you're going to be doing your own promotion anyways.
Right.
Most of the distributors are going to charge you for P&A and not cap the expenses, and that's where they rip you off. And you're going to end up promoting it on social media anyways. And we understand how virality works. That's the best, but you got to make the thing that's going to go viral. And that's what everyone's trying to do. I understand that.
There'll also be other people who will not necessarily want to be an independent filmmaker in the sense of, writing, creating everything from scratch, going through all of that rigmarole of getting the thing, through getting any kind of publicity. Some people will want to be simply like cinematographers. Some people will want to be holding the boom for a major Hollywood production. And if that is still what your dream and ambition is, then kind of learning how to play the system is still it's always been an important thing to do. But like the more heavily cartelized the Hollywood studio system becomes, the more important that kind of thing is. Understand which schools have the best reputation. Don't necessarily fall for that reputation, but understand that they have the reputation. Pick those ones, know who to meet. I did it to get a job in journalism, went to do a master's at supposedly one of the best journalism schools in the UK, absolute dogshit institution, dropped out, but was able to put on my CV, went for a master's at this prestigious institution, and it got me through the door at interviews. Learning how to game that system is very important if you want a job within the system. If you don't want a job within the system, then obviously it's a more risky process, but being an independent filmmaker might be more rewarding.
That's
well,
a good point.
If you want to be a filmmaker, again, nothing's stopping you. There's two books that I'll always recommend to any filmmaker. One is obviously the one I just mentioned. Lloyd Kaufman wrote a book called Make Your Own Damn Movie. Great book for anybody who's aspiring. You should read that, because Lloyd was rejected over and over by Hollywood and said, "Screw it, I'm doing my own thing." He did it. Whether you whether you like trauma movies or not, you got to give the guy credit for what he's done, right? So I recommend that book. I also recommend a book by Robert Rodriguez called Rebel Without a Crew. Read that book cover to cover like 7 times, highlighted. And look, some of the things are outdated. Obviously, we don't really use film anymore. So we use digital, whatever. But just take what's at the heart of the books, and I'm telling you guys, man, you'll be inspired. You'll want to do your own shit. And if you need the technical training, go to YouTube. Go to YouTube.
Well, and speaking of YouTube, I think that's going to be the next kind of place where maybe the next person comes from. Yeah, because I think that the whole comic book thing and things that people have done on the grassroots level, and Warren's right. Like if you have an audience, there you go. You don't need to worry about the studio system. Just make something for your audience, and he's not wrong. There's plenty of people out there who are more than willing to help you and will want to work with you, that are, may know a thing about cinematography or sound or what have you. And we know these people. We just got to reach out and get involved and start this. And maybe it's in the next few years. That is the future of entertainment. Is we're like, the next Angel Studios of sorts or whatever. We're like, you know what? We don't need you, Hollywood. we're going to make our own stuff, and that could be the future. I mean, I know I've got my ideas, and I know a few other people I've talked to that have ideas, and I know people who actually have worked in the studio system before who are more than willing to work with us. So it's just a matter of getting these things coordinated. And it's a much bigger thing than maybe making a comic book or a novel, right? Like it's huge.
I'm ready,
So, yeah.
Tom. I'm ready, Tom, for midget Star Wars any day.
I'm gonna make it. Little People Studios. It's gonna happen.
Oh no,
we're gonna do it. See, Warren, you haven't heard. We were talking about this for the last 2 weeks. Imagine remaking some of the classics, but with little people, like Jaws,
with little people and a smaller shark.
You have Chum. You know, you got it's everything. Star Wars, Lord of the
Rings.
RoboCop.
You'll be canceled day one, but it doesn't matter.
Everybody will buy them. I don't care.
So here's the point. Since we're talking about good filmmaking, Superman is coming out in July 11th, right? And there's a problem that I've been seeing, at least in my estimation, is that you have a legendary hero. I think that we all love to one degree or another. It's been one of my favorite characters since I was a kid. But the marketing that I've been seeing has been more James Gunn. It's like, I don't see it as Superman. You want to sell truth, justice, and the American way, but then you have him on social media 24 hours a day, it feels like. Well, I think, Superman has been overpowered, so he's going to be underpowered here. And the marketing, it's been, well, it's not going to be truth, justice, the American way. It's going to be the woke version, truth, justice, and the human way. But he didn't say it's in the movie, but we see it in some of the marketing pieces, in the toys and the marketing literature. So Gunn, is he doing a disservice to the character instead of letting the character shine and speak through?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Superman doesn't need James Gunn to speak for him. Superman, just put him on the screen and show him doing great heroic things. That's all you need from all of the marketing. You didn't need to see James Gunn in any of the marketing. Honestly, I've been saying this. You don't even need to build it out like, oh, we got a new cinematic universe coming, ladies and gentlemen. Aren't you excited about Mr. Terrific and this Hot Girl and Guy Gardner? Aren't you guys excited for that? It's like, no, just sell Superman, because Superman has to work or none of this works.
Right.
This whole universe goes up in smoke if Superman doesn't work. So he should be selling Superman on all the values that we have come to know Superman to have, and that's it. And stay out of the marketing. I don't remember Zack Snyder all over the marketing for Man of Steel. I don't recall any of these. I don't even recall James Gunn, honestly, being all over the marketing from his previous films. So I don't know what, I guess everybody's trying to say, hey, James Gunn, this guy, you like his work, don't you? You liked Guardians 1, 2, and 3. You liked Suicide Squad. You liked Peacemaker. And so they tried to put him front and center because maybe these actors are we don't really know David Corn Sweat like that. So I don't know why they decided to go with James Gunn on. Maybe that's what it is. But yeah, this has just been terrible marketing. And then every single time I see him, I'm just more and more sick of seeing him.
That's what I wondered. What are you saying, Dante?
I was going to say, I do think the marketing has gotten better, but I think it's because I think the marketing team has finally kind of taken over the reins. Right? I don't think what we saw before was marketing. I think it was just James Gunn, showing what he had, kind of a social media thing, but it wasn't like actual marketing. I think now the marketing team is in place, and we're starting to see better trailers for it, right? Look, man, I give Gunn a little bit of grace only because of the fact that I get where he's coming from. All of this rides. It rides on Superman, but more than that, it rides on him, right? Everything rides on him succeeding in this, right? And maybe he went about it the wrong way with all the social media stuff, but I think that I get the nervousness. I get why he might want to maybe overdo it with his name just because he has had a good name and he's trying to make you forget about the Snyderverse and what came before it. Because here's the thing, whether you love the Snyderverse or not, that's on you. That's up to you. I don't care either way with that. But at the end of the day, it wasn't a success, right? It was a failure for Warner Brothers. So what he's trying to do is use his name to build that credibility back to that brand. Maybe he went about it the wrong way a little bit, but I still have faith that the movie will be good. I just think that now's the time just to let the marketing team do their job and bow out a little bit. Don't do any more interviews. Just kind of you did what you had to in the beginning. I understand that. Now step back Let them do it.
I mean, you've seen his interviews. Have you seen his interviews? Rolling Stone, Entertainment Weekly, he's everywhere. And it's, I get like Superman is 10% of the story. That's what I feel. 40% is building the universe out, and the rest of it is Gunn. Why are you doing this? What motivated you to do this? I just feel he's imprinting himself on it. And this kind of story about, again, an iconic hero needs to stand on its own. But I'm getting that sense that this is James Gunn and Superman. So I'm like, who wins in that battle? Or is it just Hollywood trying to kill another hero? I mean, I'm even wondering. I've been looking forward to this, but I'm starting to worry.
I mean, the thing with Gunn and I was one of the first people to report this, is that they were courting him, right? They were whining and dining him. They wanted him to take over what was essentially going to become the DC Films universe, because it had hit nothing but brick walls to that point. Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi were trying to decide what they were going to do. Gunn had said yes to a Superman movie finally, after he had been asked in 2018 to do either a Batman or Superman project, which the Batman project eventually became Matt Reeves' Batman. And he said, yeah, I'll do Superman. And he decided to do Superman before he took on the whole DC universe as a whole. Right. And what I was told, because I said the same thing as you guys are saying, like, why is it all James Gunn, James Gunn, James Gunn? Don't get me wrong. I like James Gunn just fine, and they were telling me it's because of his social media following, and he's basically the movie star of this thing. Like, that's the problem. The studios have put themselves in a position now where the directors are basically the movie stars of the movies. And, you brought up Zack Snyder. Sure, he wasn't all over Man of Steel, but what was he all over? The Justice League release, right? Like, that's the thing. And that's the kind of thing. It is his brand. He's putting himself out there. And that's kind of the same thing he's saying in some of the interviews, too, is like, when he's asked, like, about, well, how do you feel about all the pressure that's being put on Superman according to the media? And he's like, I don't feel it, because my pressure is my pressure, right? Like, I ain't worried about what the rest of the studio is doing. That's their problem, right? Like, I just got to worry about my little corner of Warner Brothers, and that's it, right? So he's kind of put that out there too. And if that's what he's doing, that's fine. And I agree with you guys. Like, it should be less of him and more of the other stuff. But it does look like now the Barbie team has taken over the commercials and all that, because 90% of the commercials I'm seeing now are stuff like everybody's going, now that's what they should have released in the first place. Yeah. It's like, well, yeah, because now you actually have a decent marketing team, which is rare in Hollywood, because I got to give it to the Barbie folks, because love or hate the Barbie movie, they sold that thing very, very well. And that's why it did so well. And that's the team that's supposedly working on this now. So we'll have to see how it goes when it opens. But I think they're finally getting out there with the idea that, because my dad, for the first time the other day, texted me about this and asked me about this movie. He hasn't been interested in a Superman movie since Superman Returns.
Well,
it's starting to get out to the mainstream a little bit, and we'll have to see how people react to it. But
that's good.
I think that's why he's out there the most. Plus, he went through Marvel under the bus in one of those interviews too.
He did a little bit in the Entertainment Weekly and a lot in the Rolling Stone. But I want to come back to the Superman, because Warren's going to leave here in a few minutes. I want to bring up another subject, and we'll just circle around back. Danny Boyle, because we talked about the 28 years later, he did this. He was Variety had put out this article where Danny Boyle says he could not make Slumdog Millionaire today due to cultural appropriation. And that's how it should be. I'd want a young Indian filmmaker to shoot it. Why is it when these people get successful, they climb their way to the top, and then all of a sudden they start preaching? It's like, he shot it.
I don't know. Amy Poehler did the same. She said the same thing recently as well. So something along those lines, and about regretting the comedy she did before. And I'm like, it's just so tiring, man. I get it. You got to kiss the ring. If you want to succeed in Hollywood, you got to kneel, pucker up, and kiss the ring.
And he already succeeded. He's already built his brand. Why don't they show themselves when they're coming? Why don't they do this when they're climbing the ladder? But
because what they're doing is they are kicking the ladder out from under them, man, so no one else follows up, right? Like, that's what they're doing. They did all the shit that they wanted to do, and now they want to tell up-and-coming filmmakers or comedians that they can't do what they did to get to the top.
Was he a junkie when he made Trainspotting?
Well, no, I mean, I made that point on Twitter. Like, he's not Scottish, so he shouldn't really have done anything to do with Trainspotting. He's not from London, shouldn't have filmed 28 Days Later there. He's not American, he's not Thai, shouldn't have made The Beach. So you can expand this all down. India shouldn't be allowed to play cricket, for fuck's sake. It's cultural appropriation. Whenever they beat us, it's embarrassing. We shouldn't be forced to. But it's like, I don't necessarily. It's not vindictive. I don't read it as vindictive in the sense of kicking the ladder up. That is the effect. It's more that there are two different status games being played by people basically at all times. There's the first status game you play is finding mainstream success, and you do that by being a rebel, by doing things that other people haven't done. That's what he did with his filmmaking. He created a career for himself. He got a name and a reputation. But once you're established, the second status game kicks in, and that status game is you and your peers. It's how you want to be viewed by the club. People inside the club have to basically compete on intangible status, things like your moral worth, how like virtuous you can pretend yourself to be, how much signed up are you to the ruling philosophy of the club you're a member of. And that's why they start saying crap like this, even though if they actually did practice what they preached from the beginning, they wouldn't be in the club to begin with. It's embarrassed. These people should be embarrassed, but the culture at the moment doesn't make them embarrassed enough, which is why we sort of need to keep making sure that they understand how embarrassing it is when they say it.
Does that for you, Warren, like that statement that he made, does that change your mind about the artist? Does it say, oh God, he's sold out to the Hollywood hive machine?
Part of me thinks he doesn't really believe it because it's just so crazy. But it's like Platoon was saying, it's just this club mentality that is how the business runs. I was working as an assistant to a talent agent when I was living in LA, and there was this that you're treating people, you're judging their brand. I mean, with the writers, it doesn't matter so much if you're bringing them in just to get a paycheck on a rewrite, but if you're putting actors up or directors, that's why they signal like this. I think the only solution is an alternative model, which is why I was so excited with what Daily Wire was potentially doing, and that kind of just seems to have gone off the rails. I think it is a matter of time until someone else does it. We mentioned Angel Studios, but and it's going to come down to this non-union model, because that model is not going to be able to compete. And one thing I would have said for final advice to anyone who's thinking of being a filmmaker or whatnot is don't try and feel like you have to fit within this feature film format. What is a feature film? Why is it approximately 2 hours? All of that echoes back to renting out theater time. And we're not living within those constraints. And I would encourage them to do a proof of concept short, experiment with that fire in the bottle. And if that way, if you do a short form proof of concept and it resonates, Whiplash did this, for example, did it one scene from that movie as a short film with a different actor in the lead. The drum teacher was the same. They realized they had that fire. And then you're able to potentially take it to a financier or for financing and get investors, because then you have proof of concept. You show you can connect with the audience. You have potential distribution. You could even partner up with like a YouTube channel. Like if someone were to email me and say, hey, Warren, you have, I'm not that large, but we could instantly send something out and reach maybe 100,000 views or whatnot. And if it's fire, I would be like, yeah, let's do it. And that might, if it's actual fire, we could probably crack a million views. And we just reached 1 million people. Like, so there's just all this potential, but it's going to come from an alternative.
I just wonder what it's going to take to break that club mentality so they stop playing along, because I think a lot of people, when they hear or then when they read an article like this, like, come on.
A competitor is the only thing that's going to break it. It's good capitalism, competition.
Yeah, good point.
Well, this reminds me of. I was just gonna say, this reminds me of when like a comedian, like we brought up earlier, apologizes for a joke they made in the past or anything like that. It's just so ridiculous, because do we really believe that Danny Boyle would give his Oscar back?
No.
Nope.
And not only that, if it wasn't for that movie, we wouldn't know who Dev Patel is right now.
No.
True.
Like, they don't think about these things. It would be the same things if Steven Spielberg back in the 80s said, nope, I can't direct Color Purple. I'm not black. Sorry.
But he's also like, he's not going to donate any of the royalties he's earned to an Indian film school either, for example. Like, none of this is actually practicing what you preach, and it's not really designed to be, because all you need to do is to say it, and you get the reward that you're after, which is other people in your club saying, oh, good, look how good and noble and virtuous he is. It's like, this has always sort of happened with elite groups anyway. Tom Wolfe's book, Radical Chic, is kind of like it's a really good insight into how the cultural elite in particular will quite often ally itself with people who would destroy them for the sake of nothing more than social credit. It always does happen. And as Warren says, like, the only real way around it is that you prove that there's an alternative model which earns more money, is more popular, and creates in its time a new elite, which in its own time will probably collapse in on itself as well. But like, that creative destruction is what you need. But at the moment, we've just been living with this ossified almost cartel of studios and the people who make for them and run them. And there hasn't been any ability for people to properly compete from the outside. So there's been no incentive for them to change, but hopefully there will be one soon.
I just never expected it from, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, there will always be that, like what Platoon was saying, is new hierarchies will form. The way to keep it from collapsing within on itself is to avoid the postmodern leftist thing of the unions, though, and to recognize, yep, there's nothing wrong with like the lead producers are gonna, directors, the Pareto distribution, 10% of the people are gonna make the hits, and just don't fall for the trap of this union model and who pushes the unions on the political spectrum. Why is that? Where does that align with a larger philosophy? It all, just to bring it all back to the starting point of what we were talking about with the colleges.
How do you think AI is going to play into that as we wrap this up? Because like this video, I saw it a few days ago, and I think in 48 hours it hit 50 million views. I don't know if y'all have seen this, but there's like a whole slew of them, and I wonder how AI is going to reshape filmmaking.
My rascal baby mother want double the child support now. She out here gunning me down. Rasta monkey! Boom back clot. She done spit me out. May I come for you?
Yeah.
Level one.
Yeah, so now this person is making an entire storyline. It started out this way, and now they're just building out this
Why
world.
is he Jamaican though?
I don't know.
There's a lot of questionable things about those clips. I mean,
right, but when I looked at the individual, they're starting to build out a world. It's not
universe.
started as one thing.
Yeah, I'll tell you my thoughts on AI, and I don't have the mind to or the expertise to understand the upper limits, like what Elon's talking about with where AI could go and the dangers of it. But just looking at it from filmmaking, I'm in favor of making it easy to take a story inside my head and get that to the audience. But that's what was exciting to me, why I even went into this field, seeing the technological barrier shrinking. And as far as I can see, though, AI will never be able to create the story concepts that we're just talking about execution when we're looking at these videos. It's still, I mean, yes, AI can write a story, but if you type in create the next Quentin Tarantino movie, I'm not sure it's possible. Right? I'm not sure. I have my doubts. So story will always be paramount. That's where the fire is in the script. That's what Hollywood's fighting over, that thing to then execute. It's the blueprint. That's the hardest part, because without that, it doesn't matter what cameras you have or how much money you have. It doesn't matter. You can't buy that. It's the elusive intangible that can't be bought. People have been trying for years.
The soul of it, the story, the real soul of it. Because then you'll see like Justine Bateman, who I adore and respect, where she's like, she views AI as like death. Like, stay away from it. Get back to like practical filmmaking.
For many of them,
I think AI honestly is a great tool that, like Warren is saying, that kind of eliminates some barriers. And people that have good stories will be able to execute those stories in a way that is palatable to most people, and then it works. I think that's what AI is ultimately going to be. It's going to be a tool for writers, for some folks to get out what's in their head. It's like, I got this idea in my head, but I don't have the money, I don't have the resources to put it out there on a film. But now, because AI exists, now I can create a script. And again, the script is still going to be paramount, but you still want to see some level of competency when it's executed. And I think AI, it kind of eliminates a couple of barriers that filmmakers once had. And now it's like, okay, I can get this done. I can get some special effects into this thing, and it's going to look actually pretty good, and it can, maybe clean up some of the graphics or whatever. I think that's what AI is going to be best used for. But writing the next Quentin Tarantino script, that's not happening. You still need a writer that actually has a human, heart and a mind to write that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the big change is going to come when you have, like, for me, I like the idea of AI, but if I were to expand it in a way where if it did what I really wanted to, I would like to make the films where filmmakers have messed up, like Disney, the Star Wars sequels. I would like to make those in an AI, how the story, at least I see it, how it should have been, or redo The Hobbit the way Guillermo del Toro screwed up and then Peter Jackson came in and followed up. I could see improving it that way, taking the heart of the story and then following through with what I think is better execution and rewriting it. I don't know. I just think AI is tricky. It's not going to be able to make Citizen Kane. I don't think it could create Citizen Kane out of the air.
I would combine. I'm not even sure how I would implement it, but I don't think there's replacing the human actor. Yeah, I mean, if you want to do an animation or something like the monkey video we were looking at as a comedy or something, I don't see any limits using AI. I mean, you might be filmmakers might be able to use it for special effects and help bringing about those scenes that otherwise would have seemed too costly. I would still combine the human element to it if possible.
Agree. All right. It's been a wonderful conversation. Do you have to still
I'll dip out now.
Okay.
I'll dip out, but thanks guys. It's been fun hanging. I'll
Thank
talk to
you.
soon.
Great to see you. Thank you, Warren.
Bye everybody. Thanks, George.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Wow. So we're going to read these. Norwegian Kryptonian for 59 Norwegian krona. I read that college students now are struggling to read full books. I've read a couple of articles.
It is. It's actually worse than that because if it's the study that, if we're thinking of the same study, it wasn't just any college student. It was English lit majors who are in education schools. In other words, people who are on track to be teaching English to other students. They couldn't, they were allowed to use their phones. They couldn't make sense of the first paragraph of, I think it was Bleak House.
Yep.
And you were allowed to do research. So
I saw that Exeter had a problem. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I saw that Exeter at Oxford had a problem with some of its students in reading, which I can't believe. To get in there, you'd think they would have. Don't they have? I forgot what the levels are. I used to know it.
Is it? I'm reading this differently. Are they saying they're struggling to read the book from beginning to end, like they're getting bored in the middle and they're just checking out, or they just can't read?
I think there are both. There are people who just struggle to read it because of time constraints and they're not used to sitting down with a piece for an extended period. But the real, I think, to my mind, problematic one is the fact that there are also a number of people on track to be teachers who can't read a paragraph, never mind a full book.
And how do you have them then teach Platoon if your top universities start having that issue? Because there was an article I read the other day that was saying that the more that people use AI, the more their brain degenerates in certain areas.
I'm not
surprised by that. UCLA kid that did we talk about that? I don't know if we talked about that UCLA kid that had that graduated and he showed he did his entire finals on ChatGPT.
Oh, yeah. I know who you're talking about. The Asian guy.
Yeah, the Asian kid. Yeah,
he was telling everybody about it. He was telling everybody about it, how he used it, and I thought the school was going to yank him, but.
Well, I kind of applaud it because he's
why is this guy
this out of the system. Well, I mean, he's almost treating the system as exactly what it's worth because there were no safeguards. What are those degrees actually worth if that's so easy to do? He's just bragging about the fact he quite cleverly gamed a system which is not fit for the modern world anymore.
Right, but he used it to write his thesis to finish most of his work, but he didn't actually do it.
And you wonder, I mean, he's not the only one. There are going to be so many people already doing it. People have already graduated, people still doing it. I haven't seen a huge amount of impetus to change the system on the back of that video. Whereas there is quite a simple response to it, which is that you have to do in-person pen and paper examinations. That's it. No coursework, no homework, no computer work. The only way to avoid it is you have to make people show that they've done it. But there've been interviews with people who've done similar things, and their response is usually something like, well, you wouldn't tell me to go to the shop but deny me the car I used to go there. As though they think this is just an instrument to get to a destination, and the destination is the credential that they get as opposed to learning something on your way.
People will always find a life hack and they'll use it somehow.
Right, but Tom, how are they going to? No, go ahead.
I just say people are lazy. Go ahead.
Right, no, because you were making a great point. It popped in my head. I didn't mean to interrupt. But how are these people going to function in whatever degree they have and whatever job they get?
We're seeing it in live action right now. That's what I've been trying to. That's what I was trying to say earlier. Is these people are not ready to function in normal life, right? Like they're all going to be in for a huge wake up call. I mean, and this goes back to our discussion earlier about colonizing Shakespeare. You know, the real reason why they don't want to learn Shakespeare is because they don't understand it. That's what it really is because they don't understand it. They are fucking morons because they've been raised by this. They haven't been raised by parents or teachers. They've been raised by this. And it's been constantly the easy way to get through everything and get through life. It's a life hack. And instead of actually reading, which is ridiculous. I can't believe that you can be an English student in college and have never read some of these novels, even like To Kill a Mockingbird, for instance.
Right.
Right. Like, I mean, that to me just boggles my brain. I can't get that. Just doesn't make sense to me.
I got you.
I can't.
I hear you.
It's like being a preacher and never reading the Bible. It's like, well, I've looked at it.
I got a copy of it on my phone.
Got a copy. Yeah.
Pilgrim Media for $2. Disney Schmimsy. They must have money to burn. Thank you for that. And talk about Disney. Y'all heard Kathleen Kennedy? It's finally, you have a portion of Hollywood who actually feels the way we do. They feel cringy towards her. Do you know that she is asking or petitioning or championing the Academy to give an honorary Oscar to Bob Iger for next year?
Yeah.
Even though Disney owns ABC,
For what?
which an honorary Oscar for his lifetime work.
In destroying Disney?
Yeah, well, but think about it. Disney owns ABC. ABC is the hosting partner of the Oscars. So they're all like, it's kind of
So it's like the boss giving himself an award, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. And I wonder if she's doing that because she wants the same thing on her way out when she retires. Like, I don't know. I couldn't think of any other reason. Anybody have any thoughts on that? Why she would do that in such a conflict of interest?
Currying favor. It's a good way of earning favor with your boss, especially if you've had a string of failures, to say, hey, you should give him an amazing prize because he's the best man in the universe.
Yeah, it's just odd though, because they own it. I mean, that has to be a conflict of interest, unethical.
I think Platoon's right.
Yeah, and they also announced that Tom Cruise is going to be getting an honorary Oscar because he's been nominated 4 times.
But there's more typical. Honor Oscars don't typically reward or award people who are executives pushing money around on a desk. They award people who are in some way involved in the creative process. There's probably is a separate industry award already for people who do the jobs like Bob Iger does, but there aren't as many celebrities at that one, so it's not as sexy.
No, especially they named the Disney building in New York the Bob Iger building now. So it's like, okay. Thank you, Pilgrim Media, for that. Eric K for $2. Little Platoon. It was only 8 hours. You're slipping.
That was E5 yesterday. Was it only 8? I think it was only 8. Still, 8 hours of talking takes its toll on your voice, Oren. It's a manual labor job, is what podcasting is.
I like you, Fat. Next, thank you for that, Eric K. We got Istophobos for $2. The fat chick on the plane should have let one rip. Yeah, she had to join the fart club and then had that one
Crossing universes.
Making another video. Shanatsky for $5. Been dealing with the end of my student debt. Recruiters preyed upon tons of us, lying about job placement, etc. They go after us when we know nothing. I thought the recruiters at university, because I'm still taking some courses, I thought their whole job was they were supposed to, the university helps to place you in a job. Am I incorrect in that?
I think
I don't know how successfully.
Go ahead, Platoon. You probably know better than me. Sorry.
Oh no, I don't know how successfully they do it. I mean, my uni was a tiny little place, well, the first one anyway, and they have programs which are designed to like bring in people with industry experience, and they have like sort of job-ish recommendation programs, but like I don't know how good any of them are. Gotcha. It's more like networking. Okay, can you put the badge on your CV? If you can, the uni's done its job. It doesn't really need to teach you anything.
Gotcha. Cool. Thank you, Shanatsky. Corn for $2. Candyman remake was hot garbage. Decosted him money. Yeah. Oh. I do not like her. That's a good one. I don't know why. I didn't think she was going to get another job after Marvels, but that's the same way I never thought Rachel Zegler would get another job. But now she's doing Evita. Did you see Evita? How you had Rachel Zegler has pissed off half of the theater going public in London's West End. People who
it's not even her fault, technically. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, that's what I wonder. Did she do it with
No,
the director?
it's the director. The director decided to do this, and
Okay.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, what I was going to say is because what happened was because I was looking up, and the other day I was showing the ticket sales, right? 70% of the theater, 70% of her performances in July and next week, the week before, 70% of the theater isn't sold. The tickets aren't sold. You can go online, look at it. But then you had the director who has her coming out to the public at the theater balcony singing the key song from Evita. While the audience, some of the people who paid £500 for the tickets, are watching it on a big screen. I'm like, who's to blame there? Is that the director? Is that the actor?
I don't think it's Rachel Zegler.
You
This
don't
would be like
that's not her decision.
Yeah, no, this is so stupid and so like if anything, it's like no wonder you're not selling any tickets because why would you buy a ticket to the show? It's like buying a ticket to Sir Mix-a-Lot and then the motherfucker goes on the roof and you have to watch him on a big screen sing I like big butts and I cannot lie. It's like, no, that's the song I came to hear, motherfucker. Where are you? Like that's what this is like. It's like I totally understand the people in the theater getting pissed because you pay a big price for these tickets. And when the major sequence, when she's singing the Don't Cry For Me, Argentina, and she's out in front, all you got to do now then, instead of buying tickets to this expensive show, is just wait around outside knowing about this time, Rachel Zegler's going to pop out the front, pull out your camera, see her sing her song, and then go about your business and not have wasted all that money and time on the stupid show, and you saw everything you needed to see. Who's going to buy a ticket when you do that?
That's
that
my
makes
point.
no sense.
That's why I said, yep.
If you're doing it for like Good Morning America, for a promotion, one-time thing, surprise people, okay, maybe. But they are doing it every single show. That's what you're talking about, George. And it makes no sense. It's like you might as well just had it pre-recorded. Who knows she's actually sitting out there except for the bigger crowd you got outside because they know that she's going to come outside there and they don't have to pay a dime to see her.
Yeah, and now the crowds are getting bigger every night. I have a clip of it, but I'm not going to show it. It's a waste of time. And they're
That was
giving
my
her,
point. Yeah.
and they're giving her a project to do Sound of Music next. I'm like, so we go from
Oh Lord, are you
Yep.
serious?
Yeah, for Broadway. For Broadway.
Oh, at least it's for Broadway. I was going to say, are they really thinking of touching
Yep,
that movie?
they are. But here's the thing: why I was saying could possibly Rachel Zegler be to blame? I've been waiting for F1 to come out. Anybody else excited about F1?
Oh yeah,
that looks
good.
I've heard interesting things. Yeah.
Well, in doing part of him and the actor, the other guy, I can't remember his name, the guy from Pirates of the Caribbean, the Spanish guy, and from Bond, when they were talking about F1, he started talking about his career. I think this right here shows the difference between the caliber and quality of actors in the past, 90s, late 80s, early 2000s, and the Zeglers. He's talking now about Seven and what he had written into his contract.
When I signed on to do the film, I said that ending has to be, I got in my contract that ending had to stay because I'd had experience on something before where something that was controversial got cut out. And to me, it was why we go to movies. And so it was in my contract. And so sure enough, when the movie came out, there was this push to like, it would be much more, he'd be much more likable if the dogs' heads were in the box. And I was going, nope.
Thank you for that, Brad. Thank you for that.
Well, we think the bad experience prior.
That is one of the most heartbreaking movie lines.
It's certainly shocking. Yeah,
What's
it's
in
really
the
upsetting.
box?
But there's that. I mean, themes that I seem to get into is that idea of hubris. Whenever I've seen, or in my own life, I've fallen short or made a mistake, or it's usually hubris is in the way. It's something I assumed was this way, and that to me, this Detective Mills character was the ultimate example of that.
But that's what I'm talking about right there. Where is that level of dedication to bleed for one's art? Why
Is there anybody who's big enough?
Well, he wasn't that big when Seven came out. He had Legends
but
of the Fall.
Yeah,
Well,
but he was still at least Brad Pitt at that point. Like, that's my point I was saying earlier. Are there any real movie stars left? Like, Tom Cruise is probably the only guy who could get away with doing that. Or, I mean, could even Brad Pitt do that now?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking, because
I don't know. Look, Brad Pitt is Brad Pitt, but I don't know if he still carries that kind of weight anymore. And from what I've been hearing about F1, it's more of an art piece than a sports film. So, yeah, I don't know.
Is there also like a power imbalance between actors and studios as well? Because it's one thing for a fairly big actor to say to a fairly small studio, I want this in my contract. But given how many major films these days are all coming from the same massive hyper-sized studios, even fairly large actors probably don't have the amount of sway that they might have done, say, back in the 80s, or even in that example, doing it with Seven.
Well, and the thing with Seven was it was put out by New Line before they did Lord of the Rings. So you guys got to remember, they were the house that Freddie built still at that point. So yeah, they were going to concede to whatever Brad Pitt wanted. And David Lynch wasn't even that big of a director yet. Like, he was big, but I mean, he didn't have the kind of sway or pull that Brad Pitt did already at this point. That was what I was getting at, is Brad Pitt was the guy to come to bat for him and say, yeah, you're not changing this ending, because I know you're going to want to, right? Because you can look at it and you can tell, like, where's the alternate endings? You would have thought maybe they would have shot 3 different endings. No, that's because Brad Pitt made sure this was going to be the ending, and if it's not, then I'm just not going to do this movie. And they could have gotten somebody else to be in the movie, but they wanted Brad Pitt because he was the hot and up-and-coming actor at that time in that period, and like this was on the cusp of Brad Pitt becoming the Brad Pitt we all know. So,
But my point is, do they not internally, are actors no longer, or even directors, going, this is the vision, this is what I'm going to stick to? It's like I don't see them wanting to put themselves on the line.
Well, they might see
Tarantino's
that.
and James Gunn's and stuff like that, but that's it. Yeah, go ahead.
And in other ones, in other examples, that you might have a director who's minded to say that, but then Kevin Feige will turn around and say no.
Right, and what if that director says, to hell with it, I'm not going to, it's like, I don't
Then
think
they'll say, well, okay, you, Nia DaCosta, will not then be able to direct this massive Marvel film, and will probably blacklist you from the entire studio, so good luck to you.
Look what happened to Jon Favreau when he butted heads. He didn't direct Iron Man 3 because of all the crap he went through with Iron Man 2, and whether it was their decision or his decision, they just went forward without him directing. He was still there in an acting role, and I think a producerial role, but
that was it
because of the crap. And he wasn't even somebody who was powerful enough to go up against Kevin Feige. And we could have had an Ant-Man directed by Edgar Wright, but because Kevin Feige was Kevin Feige and put his foot down, for better or worse at that time, we didn't get it. And that's kind of what James Gunn was saying in that interview is part of the problem, right? And this goes along with what you're saying, instead of just letting directors make their movies, right? They're the studio's like, well, we got to worry about this and we got to worry about that, and what about the black folks, and what about the Latino folks, and what about the gay folks? And it's like, when you're worrying about all that shit, who are you really making this movie for at the end of the day? Then you're making it for the masses, and that's it. You're not making it for an audience that's going to find it. Sure, it's one thing to make a Superman movie where everybody is supposed to be able to go see it, but I mean, for every Superman and movie like that, if you're not going to get a 7 for everybody, right? Not everybody went to see 7. 7 is a very specific group you're aiming it towards. It did cross some demographics, but it's not going to hit that level that a Superman movie is going to, and it's not meant to. It's like they forgot the audience they're making movies for,
because they keep doing this 4-quadrant thing.
Yes.
Yeah, 4-quadrant. All right, we'll take the next soup chats and we'll jump to Bond and wrap up. Marksman of 117B for $5. Have anyone here heard of Frank Zanu? Has a channel here on YouTube with many discussions, topics like racism, culture, and the African viewpoint. Anybody here?
Heard of
it.
No.
Frank Zanu.
I know Frank Zappa and I know Xenu, but I don't know Frank Zanu.
No, I'll take a look at it. I haven't heard. I always appreciate when people bring up new channels that I didn't know about. Thank you for that. Detailed Devil for $2. Dehumid with tea bags. 2-stop glass fog fine equals news advice. Yeah, I still can't believe it's like I thought it when I first read it in the Daily Mail, and then the Times, and then the Telegraph. I was like, this got to be a joke. 2,500 pounds. But they're also going to start. Starmer said that they were going to be unleashing drones on anybody on litter bugs, but they called it something else. Tipping, fly tipping, something. Anybody who throws trash out after X amount of offenses, they can, if they throw it outside of their car, they can have their car crushed.
Where is this, in the UK?
Yeah, I've been working on this video for 2 weeks about everything that's going on in the UK, all the bad side, all the good side, all the hopes, all the glimmers. It's because family there, and it's fascinating.
I remember when the UK used to be a pretty quiet
Cool.
place to live. You
Pretty
know, now
cool
all of a
place.
sudden it seems like craziness.
It was like I found something odd. The king released a video about Ramadan, right? Wishing everybody who is celebrating Ramadan. But for Easter, he only put out a post, which he still mentioned both Judaism and Islam. And I was like, shouldn't it just each one be for their own and each one get a video? I don't know. I'm finding a lot of things that are going on in the UK different than the way it was when I was last there. Two penny puppet for $2. Just now say the Holy Trinity. Horizon was better. Just now saw the Holy Trinity. Horizon was better. Okay. The Holy Trinity?
Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about. I'm trying to figure it
I
out.
think Holy Trinity, I always think of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman.
And then do you mean Horizon like the Western from Kevin?
Is it Costner's? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, is Holy Trinity a new, like I was trying to
The
think.
good, the bad, and the ugly, maybe.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
You mean the
Ah,
entire
yeah.
trilogy? Okay.
Gotcha. Not a problem. All right. Thank you for that. Cool. Alice Caldwell for £2. Happy to see Tom with his cat. I have Garfield. Well, I'm sure Tom is thrilled about that. Thank you, Alice. Man, that lightning has screwed up my camera. I think it blew my UPS, which I don't think is possible. Anyway, Eric K for $5. I predict the James Gunn production of the James Gunn film with the James Gunn dog will make all the James Gunn. I liked it. So we have the MCU. What are we going to call the DCU? Anybody have any ideas? If it's successful, it'll be the DCU. If not, is it the DC Jew? Like DC, no, like DC James Gunn, like James Gunn unit. Come on, you know what I mean?
Maybe the Gun CU. I don't know.
I don't know. I've been trying. Like it sounded weird. DC
Gunverse is kind of what it's been.
Yeah, it's been Gunverse, like Snyderverse. Yeah.
Okay, someone's gonna clip that, but I didn't mean it like DC Jude. I meant it like DC Jude. J.
We know what you meant.
Oh,
Don't
right.
lie to us,
Thank God
sir.
my camera went out. Eric K for $5. I just hope Brad Pitt does not come out in a dress for the F1. Oh fuck! Now you reminded me of that. You're really like messy. For the F1 premiere, like we did the Bullet Train. I don't know why they do that shit. It's like, hey, I don't have enough headlines this week. Yep. Thanks, Eric. Love ya. Aaron
Brad Pitt's always
Jarman.
been kind of weird though, so like
Yeah, but the other day, someone sent me, I don't know who the hell it was, a video of Brad Pitt coming out of a hotel in New York wearing a blue velvet 60s style suit. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like he thinks he's 18 years old. I mean, it didn't look right. Like it looked like it was 2.5 sizes too big for him.
Did you see what Dante shared about Ezra Miller?
No. Oh, yes.
My God, don't. No.
Yes,
Jesus.
bring it up.
Lord,
I forgot about that. We can show
I've
everybody.
spotted in public again. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Aaron Charman gifted 5 George the Giant Slayer memberships. You can't see my face, Aaron. I loved having you on yesterday when the camera was working. The camera's now fried. But thank you. Everybody, please go thank Aaron. I'm smiling. Big time. All righty. Well, just let me know, Fletcher, when you have it in the back, and I'll pull it up. Was that it? That's it. Okay, now I think I figured out who the next Bond is. I know everybody keeps showing Aaron Pierre, but I think it's going to be Aaron Taylor Johnson because 48 hours ago, Omega said he is now their official brand ambassador. And Craig got it 6 months before. So did Pierce Brosnan.
Ooh, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, I was looking it up and I was like,
Because I don't believe this Pierre business too. Because
Ouch.
oh my God, this is your new Bond, ladies and gentlemen. He should be out on Bond. That's the problem. That's a full dress he's wearing too. That isn't even the whole picture.
Okay, how does he? How many times did he get arrested or go to jail? Or like when I look at that, I think of Gina Carano. I'm like, she was fired, never rehired. She practiced free speech. Yeah, that's me too, Lords. I get it. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I know, but that was that's from Verbal. Actually, you can blame him.
There's worse pictures out there. But yeah, this was this
There's some
weekend in
crazy
Italy,
shit.
I guess.
Here's the thing, man. I think Ezra's trying. I mean, this might be his humiliation ritual. He's trying to get back into the business. He has to do shit like this now.
He was doing shit like this before.
He was.
It's mandatory.
That's the problem. Yeah, I
you
don't buy
saying
that.
Yeah, but he has to
Ezra
remind
Miller
them that
and his
he has to
element.
remind them that he's on their team.
Okay.
Right?
They don't want him on their team. That's the problem. Nobody wants him on their team.
Yeah.
Like, I think they've all kind of just been like, yeah, we realized we fucked up and made this guy a movie star.
Is he a movie star or just a
No,
celebrity?
but they put him in enough movies now that he's a name.
I mean, he was the Flash. God, how did he get that? role?
Exactly. Like, I mean, kind of technically.
Yeah, it's nuts. All righty. So, but I wanted to discuss something as we wrap up. Mark Daly for $5. That wasn't the new Bond. It was the new Bond girl. Nikuriga was the. Oh my god.
Oh Lord.
No, he
Well,
killed
it's funny-
Doctor Who.
It's funny you mentioned that, George, because I was like, I don't believe that they're like deciding on who Bond is going to be, because they are just deciding now who the directors are,
Right.
and the director is going to get to decide that. And it sounds like the one who's in the front running for the director was oh god, I just forgot his name.
Oh, Denis Villeneuve was looked at. I don't know if he's going to get it.
Was he really?
No,
Yep.
gosh, who was it? I'm trying to think of.
I just don't know if he's going to get it. They said he was on the list.
What's the list of the names again?
I have it here. Hold on. What is it with now? I got an ad blocker, and now it worked for the last 2 months. Now every site I go to, every other site I go to, has an ad blocker.
Yeah.
Weirdest. Hold on, I got to get past the ad blocker.
Yeah, I shared the thing too, and I'm trying to find it. Because I thought that was pretty interesting, and it's a believable list of names. And I don't know, Nolan's brother is one of them, and that's not the one that I've been hearing.
So I'm showing Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright, that's the one I've been hearing. Edgar Wright.
Yep.
Thank you, D. I didn't even have
I
to
wouldn't
go
mind
farther than
that. I
that.
wouldn't
I
mind
was
that
trying
at
to
all.
remember his goddamn name. I just mentioned his name, like 10 minutes ago. So
Yeah, yeah, right.
So
I wouldn't mind that. But I
No,
mean,
no.
how do you not? If you're Amazon, how do you not go to Cavill as your Bond?
Exactly.
that's what
my
I've been hearing
point.
is Cavill or Taylor Johnson. Yeah.
But I think it's
It
going to
has
be
to be
Taylor
Cavill.
Johnson. I think it's going to be Taylor.
I think Cavill's going to be too
He's
busy.
he's
I think
working
you're
with
right.
Amazon already. He's on like 5 or 6 Amazon projects. So it's
Which is
like-
why I think he's going to be too busy, because they just cast Cameron Crowe in the Highlander thing, so that means it's finally going forward. So he'll probably be too busy with Highlander and other things to.
Plus we got Russell Crowe as Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez.
Is that who he's playing? Have they officially said that he's playing Ramirez? Because that's stupid. Why didn't they not get Antonio Banderas? That makes no sense. Motherfucker was Zorro.
Wait a minute,
Like-
because you got to have a Scottish or British-based guy or an Australian playing a Spaniard.
No, you
Egyptian.
don't.
Yes, you do, Sean Connery.
That's the stupidest. That was the whole joke before. Everybody said you got the wrong guy playing Ramirez.
I even think Henry Cavill's wrong because we need a damn Frenchman.
Henry Cavill's perfect. He looks.
I know
the part.
he is, but you know what? Christopher Lambert. We need a funny.
It's another race swap that they didn't need, man.
I know. How could they? It's the first time, or it would be the second time, we get a Spaniard Egyptian who's 2,000 years old getting race swapped for a white guy. Sons of bitches.
And that's why I said Antonio Banderas makes absolute perfect fucking sense. He's got the sense of humor. He's got the dashing looks. Motherfucker was Zorro, and he's Spanish.
But he doesn't have that British style accent.
But you
Who
know what, though,
cares?
man? At the end of the day, at least they didn't cast Pedro Pascal. So,
Oh, God,
so I'm okay with it.
He'll probably play the
hate that.
Kurgan you watch.
Yeah. I can't stand Pedro. And I thought
Yeah, we
it
don't
was
have a
Pedro.
Kurgan yet. Last person who was attached was Bautista, but that was the previous incarnation. So I don't know who they're gonna.
Before he
or
started.
what they're gonna
Batista
do.
might be a decent choice.
He could
not
probably
anymore.
handle it, but he's like lost a lot of the muscle.
A
mass,
lot of
hasn't he?
Have you seen him recently? He looks good.
No,
he
I
looks
haven't.
good, man.
Wait a minute.
The
he-
last time that's what I'm saying. The
Put
last
it
time I
back
saw him,
on?
he
Yeah.
looked really skinny. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I saw one recently, and from him, like at the gym, and he looks fucking ripped.
Really? So he went
I mean,
from-
he's not as big as he was, but he looks more cut, like more.
Javier Bardem would be perfect for Kurgan, or like,
Yeah, actually.
gosh,
Here it is. I found
Clive
it.
Owen, maybe.
I
yeah,
found it.
he'd be all right. There's
found
been
out-
rumors
bring
going
him
around
back.
with Mad Mikkelsen, though. I think is the name that's been floated.
I don't think so.
Oh, you always go with Mads then, man. Always.
I love Mads. Mads, you know they were saying that there's talk that they're going to finish out Hannibal to come back. If y'all ever watch the Hannibal series,
Yeah, but they've been saying that for a long time, man. I don't think that's going to happen.
You mean they're not done screwing over Brian Fuller yet? They gotta fuck him over some more.
Man, I've been waiting for that to finish. That was brilliant, though. It was just a masterwork of
That's
art.
what my question is. Is it going to be Brian or is it going to be somebody else to bring it back?
That I don't know. That I don't know. But here, just to finish off the Bond conversation, because I finally got the ad blocker to fight.
Yeah,
their
there you go.
Ad
See,
blocker,
Edgar,
blocker.
right? Edgar Berger, or Edward Berger, Jonathan
Jonathan-
Nolan, Paul King, and Denny Villeneuve.
But they're
Villeneuve's
saying-
too fucking busy.
Well, what they're saying though is this is what I hadn't heard before. They're saying that they want this to have more of that fun from Brosnan and Moore, and they're saying Villeneuve's
Good.
not funny. So
You got to go back to that kind of a thing. And I mean, I even saw like Robert Meyer Burnett, be resistant to the 60s thing. And I get it. I get what he's saying, but you can't make Bond the way he is now because a lot of the gadgets and stuff that were, fun, like you can do that with your phone now. Right. And we're so sick and tired of seeing like the woe is me Bond who can't have, sexy women and all that shit. And the impression I got from Craig's Bond is he hated being Bond.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't get that made him.
Bond is supposed to be fun. Bond is supposed to be a little tongue in cheek. That's the last time I do remember it kind of being fun was when Pierce Brosnan was James Bond, basically.
All right, I think that I want to share you this 2 clips, and then we are out of here. Marksman of 117B for $2. Holy Trinity is new Western with. Oh, I haven't seen it.
I looked it up and nothing came up. Only the actual Holy Trinity, like the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit kind of thing.
I haven't seen it. Somebody put this together, and it just it reminds me of why I still think Cavill would be.
Oh,
the
and
best
see,
Bond.
somebody saying in the chat it's actually called Unholy Trinity. That's why. Let me look that up.
Didn't know. But this little homage that they put together, this montage, I think is perfect reason why I would love to see Cavill as Bond.
Yeah, Pierce Brosnan, Samuel Jackson come out last year, I guess. He looks like he's gonna cry in that one. That looked cool. Like that's like a cool motion poster. Like
It's so ridiculously obvious that this guy should be Bond that it's almost stupid now.
Yeah.
I know. Why would they not go with him as a thing? It seems like someone's always trying to.
Remember
keep
when
Cavill down.
Bezos even asked the question on X, who should be our next Bond? And
Right.
literally everybody said Cavill.
Yep.
So it's like if you don't go with them at this point, now you're just like disrespectful because you asked the question to the audience, and the audience is telling you Cavill. They're telling you Cavill, and you're just going to go in a different direction. Now it's just stupid. Like, why do you even ask? You know,
Unless
if you don't- if you
that's
don't
why
really
they're
care, why even ask?
Unless that's why they're pushing to get Highlander out of the way. You could be right. So they can get that done because that was the deal with Chad Stahelski and that moved from Lionsgate over to Amazon.
But
so maybe he was like contractually obligated to get that done first, maybe.
The thing I don't get is in what world is Henry Cavill not the biggest fucking movie star in the world? Like I don't understand this, man.
He's picked the wrong movies and shit. Yeah.
How? I think somebody or somebody's.
Oh, I'll tell you who. His former agent.
They keep
Why?
him
Because
down.
she did. Because she was The Rock's agent. Because she prioritized her fucking ex-husband.
Yeah.
That's
you
why.
You don't think studios or wokies?
No, it was the agent.
I think she was a big part of it.
100% right.
Okay.
Because that's why she got fired at the end. And that's where I keep coming to the defense of James Gunn. It's like James Gunn had nothing to do with that Henry Cavill business. That was between Warner Brothers, The Rock, and The Rock's agent. And that is, from what I heard, one of the main reasons Cavill shit canned her because of that whole fucking fiasco. Because he was never coming back as Superman. That was not going to happen, at least not in the capacity that he was being promised. James Gunn was always going to go forward with a different guy as Superman because that was his vision. It was never going to be a Henry Cavill Superman. So people keep getting this in their head that James Gunn fired Henry Cavill somehow. When no, it was because he got lied to by 2 or 3 different fucking people to put out this thing saying he was coming back as Superman to help promote Black Adam, when that wasn't necessarily the case. He was basically bamboozled into it. So he turned around and fired her ass. And now his new agent is the one who's got him the Warhammer deal, the Highlander deal. So who knows? Maybe she's even going to get him the Bond deal. I mean, he's now obviously in-house, like DA said, over at Warner or Amazon now. If I was Bezos, I'd be like, you are our guy. We want you to be our Bond, our Highlander, our Warhammer guy. We want you across the board because the nerds love you. And it would be a great move. It makes all the sense in the world.
I hope that's the case. And I hope that the fact that Aaron Taylor Johnson became a brand ambassador for Omega is not a repeating history. Okay, here's the last clip, and then we're out of here. I just wanted to show some love for Henry Cavill and Russell Crowe, since they're going to be in Highlander together. It's a great story. It's 2 minutes. I think it's worth listening to.
It makes sense. I knew they were together in Man of Steel in that part, but like this makes sense. Henry probably lobbied for him to get the role, I bet.
Yeah, I think that was great. All right, let's read the last 2 super chats and we're out of here. 2 Penny Puppet for $5 just got back from the Unholy Trinity. It's a new Western with Pierce Brosnan. Love Pierce Brosnan. And same age. Oh, now I got to go see it. I thought Costner's Horizon was heads and tails better. Really? Even though it had Brosnan and Jackson. Okay, thank you for sharing.
Very good writing, yeah.
Mark Daly for $5. Pedro is going to be the next Bond. I am so. If you could see my face right now, which I'll just show it for you.
We're willing this into existence.
I know. Is the next
like
Bond.
This is
though.
what the rumor's been, though.
Amazon Bond is going to be one big love triangle between Ncuti, Ezra, and Pedro. Oh my. Pedro Bond for modern audiences.
You know, I will say this. This is actually probably the right move for Pedro, because this whole idea of them putting him in everything and trying to make him a leading man just isn't working. Right.
Nope.
And I think they're going to see that with Fantastic Four.
Yep.
This is the kind of roles that Pedro should be playing. The heavies, the bad guys. Because, I mean, he was even one of or actually the only good part of Wonder Woman 84. Right. And he was playing the bad guy in that.
Right.
Like, yeah, that he's basically a glorified character actor at this point, and they just need to get past this whole idea of trying to make, you know, Pedro Pascal into a movie star. So I don't see.
Well, I mean, let's be real, man. I mean, I think it's more Disney than anybody else.
Oh,
like,
absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
He's Disney's boy, you know.
Yeah. He's definitely Disney's boy. And talking about Fantastic Four, are y'all into the buckets thing? I know Tom likes them, and I have my Wolverine.
I refuse to pay $80 for a popcorn bucket.
Before you do the popcorn buckets, though, you should just share this real quick while we're talking about Pedro, because this is hilarious. For those who are just listening, there's a
dude. I wouldn't pay for. I wouldn't pay $80 for a popcorn bucket if the chick who sold me the bucket blew me when she sold it to me. Like
okay, well, I guess you're not gonna like this one. It gives you a reach around.
Oh no!
Oh Lord, the Pedro bucket does actually give you a reach around.
Yeah.
Lord, we've gone from the Dune bucket to this, huh?
Dude,
oh,
that
that's like
one
right there. Like, yeah, you can stick
that
your
first
dick
one
in
did not
that.
look good.
I said it's horrible. DA, thoughts?
Funny as hell.
What the hell, man?
Pedro is going to be giving so many perverts hand jobs. I can't.
Who designed that?
Pedro.
A
probably.
pervert.
Pedro, yeah, Pedro.
Nobody else would design that. It's got to be Pedro.
Wow.
It's got to be Pedro. Hold on, I got to show you this last one. Here it is.
It's almost like they're doing it on purpose.
That's
this
a horrible
point.
design.
It is. Yeah. Not only is he giving you a hand job, he can spin his arm around to give you the hand job in his face.
And here you have the $80 one.
Yeah, this is just like, holy fucking shit. Are you shitting me?
I'm just getting a little popcorn for Fantastic Four.
That's crazy.
Maybe he gives you
the only one I've seen this year that looks really cool is the Jaws one, and I can't get my hands on it. So if anybody can get one, then let me know.
It's
It's
not
out
out.
there.
I
It's
know,
out
but
there.
I will tell you, I'm gonna say I hate that they sell them before the movie's out because you
I
need
agree.
to because
It's been selling out
scalper.
everywhere. Yeah.
I know, but they shouldn't. It should be for the movie because now you have scalpers
I agree.
everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
All righty. Wow, this has been a lot of fun. Sorry about the camera. I will fix it, but this has been a great show. Had a great time. Little Platoon, it was great having you back. Please tell everybody where they can find you, what you got coming up next.
Yeah, thank you for having me as always. Little Platoon is on YouTube. Lost Chord is the second channel. What is even out? I did a Thunderbolts video recently. There's evidence of how fantastically successful Thunderbolts has been. Thunderbolts is not in the title of that video because it might trick more people into watching it, which so far it has because ethics. Yeah, there'll be some other stuff coming up in the next few weeks. I'm not entirely sure what or in what order, but yeah, just keep an eye on it and there'll be more videos to come.
Beautiful. And then we have the DA. Let us know where you're at and what you got coming up.
Yeah, thank you, George. Derek Anderson, the DA. Find my channel on YouTube. Tonight, the DA's office, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll be going over Elio, the disaster that Elio was. We'll also be talking about Spider-Man and Punisher reuniting in the next Spider-Man movie. So hang out with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. George, always a pleasure, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm smiling and waving back. Yeah, the Spider-Man whole thing, I want to talk about that this week. And Elio seems to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it not the 4th Pixar crash and one of the biggest?
Not only that, it's the lowest opening they've ever had, I guess, is what I'm hearing.
And then, wow. And Fantastic Four. Anybody have projections real quick? What do you think is going to happen? Who's going to win, Superman or F4?
I think Superman will.
Superman for sure.
Superman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Superman might even manage to beat Jurassic World because there's a few things going into that where I'm not so sure if that one's even going to be as big as some people think. Now, I never would have bet against a Jurassic movie, but like the last 3 films have pretty much played out like the Star Wars trilogy did, the sequel trilogy, where the first one made almost 2 billion, the second one went down almost 1 billion, then the third one, the only reason I think the third one maintained is because it didn't have the Revenge of the Palpatine problems, right? Because you actually had all of the original stars plus the new stars on the screen at the same time working together. This one, you have none of the original stars. They're making a lot of the dinosaurs scientifically accurate, and the hybrid dinosaur looks weird, and you got a girl boss problem. So, but Fantastic Four, I'll be surprised if it makes much more than 400 million worldwide.
And what do y'all think about Superman being cut in half opening weekend?
That's a weird thing because their even estimate that they give is so broad. It's like 90 to 125 million, and then Deadline or Hollywood Reporter said 135. And the number that everybody's talking about was put out there by Box Office Theory a couple weeks ago. But funnily enough, Box Office Theory has actually been more on with their predictions in the last year than some of the other ones have, because they came within like $4 million of like what was it, Thunderbolts and one of the other bigger films this year, and Captain America, they were less than 10 million off of on their predictions. So
Cool.
Mission Impossible was the other one they were really close on, which surprised a lot of people because a lot of people expected that to go higher.
Me too.
They were more accurate was my point. But
Good point.
So we'll see.
What do you have coming up? Tell everybody where to find you, Tom.
Oh, well, you can find me at Midnight's Edge After Dark. Tonight on Midnight's Edge After Dark, in place of the tier list, we're actually going to be talking about Jaws.
Love
The 50th
Jaws.
anniversary of Jaws. Since there's only 4 movies, you can't really do a tier list. So we'll kind of be doing a tier list, but it's more so just to talk mainly about the first film and then sequels. And we have a guest, Gary Ambrosio, who's going to come on, who has tons of original Jaws props and memorabilia and stuff like that. So join us if you can.
Yeah.
Cool. And you know that the Academy of Motion Pictures is dedicating, starting September 14th, I believe it is, to July 2026, an entire exhibition for Jaws, including the last Bruce. It's going to be hanging from the ceiling.
Oh, Greg Nicotero's Bruce. Gotcha. Awesome.
Yeah. All right. Verbal, where can everybody find you? What you got coming up this week?
Yeah, you guys can find me at Verbal Riot on Rumble, YouTube, and X. And you can just find me every Thursday, 6 p.m. PST for VRL. I missed it last week because I was having some Wi-Fi issues, but I'm up and running again, so shouldn't be a problem now.
Awesome. I'm so glad y'all are here. Again, the camera, it crapped out, but what can you do? So I love you all. Thank you, everybody, for your support. If you can see me, I'm smiling, thrilled for everybody. Thanks to Lord Thaw, Eric K., Fletcher Williams. And if you have time, please go check out a good friend of mine. And the stream is going to push you over there to Mr. Brown's Alliance. Great show. Check out also Mr. Berger and everybody on this panel. Love you all. Remember, we're fighters with one unbreakable rule. We never bow down. We never bend the knee. See you Tuesday night at 7 p.m. on FAFO. Love you. Have a